water. The only problem with it is it's actually it's pushed the strong current way out. So the strong current that's normally ripping down past Point Lookout and down is now about 150 k's offshore, which is great. It's 3 knots out there. And you see the current come down the coast and it gets ripped out because this big upwelling's pushed it out, sucked it out. Which means we get northerly current, which is what we had earlier on in the year, and it was very hard fishing because the fish don't like northerly current. But that's today, tomorrow, the next day, the northerly current's pretty aggressive, about 1 knot or something like that. Sunday, it's about 0.8 of a knot, starts to drop down and sort of just doesn't do much. I think no current's actually better than northerly current, northerly running current, uphill current in my books. But obviously a bit of southerly current's the best. So that it doesn't show that far ahead, but looking at it maybe mid next week, it might swing back to southerly current, but only light. Normally this time of the year we have really strong current, but this year the current's been all different. We had 3 months of running uphill current to the north, which I've never seen before. So hopefully the fishing will play the game with it. So if you're going to go, Sunday's the day, in other words. Okay. Then it goes back to northerlies again next week. Yeah.
What's the app that you use for current?
If you join up to Windy Pro, it shows you everything, like everything, better than probably Ripcharts. So this doesn't show the definition on the bottom like Ripcharts does, but Ripcharts is $140 or something. Yeah. So and I think it's about $30 a year or $29 a year, but you can see anything, and you can see up to 10 days in advance, except for the current.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the current? Just current.
It's got ocean current and also tidal currents as well.
Just like live sort of thing.
Oh, live, yeah, live, yeah. Actually, I was going to bring my phone. Can you I'll get Stu to bring it. I can't ring him though. Yeah, when he comes back up, I'll get my phone and I'll show you guys how it looks and you see what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Is that on BOM as
well? BOM does show you a currents as well, but it's a little bit. You can't zoom in as much as you can like Windy. Windy can zoom into like as big as a shop, and see what the current's doing. But BOM, you're looking between sort of Fraser and the border on a little screen that big, So if you zoom in, it's sort of like not really accurate. Does that make sense? But you get the incline how it works, and that's what I used to use. It's called IDOCY 300, I think it is. If you jump on to BOM and go to ocean currents, and that's what it's called, IDOCY 300. I think that's what it is. Yeah, a little bit into it, but you get some sort of idea. Okay, wake up in the morning or the day before, and if it's like white or purple or whatever, and it's doing 3 or 4 knots, it's just not worth going out, even though there might be 5 knots of wind. But if you've got 1 knot, we fish up to about 2.5 knots. Over that, we have fished up to 4 knots, but you've got to use that size sinker. And that's current. 4 kilos or 5 kilos. And what you do is you actually drop your line down pretty close to on top of the school of fish, and you travel north into the current. If the current's coming from north, you travel up into the current for about the depth of the bottom distance. Does that make sense? So it's 500 metres deep. You go about 500 metres up, maybe 600, just overshoot a little bit, and then pull back to neutral, and then drift back. And what happens is, as you're drifting back, the line's free falling without getting taken south. It'll just free fall on the spot. The boat will move back with it, and hopefully, as long as you've got much northerly wind blowing, you're pretty well straight down right on the fish, and straight away you get bites. Then as soon as the boat takes up the current, it's just like voomp, and the lines go under the boat, and you can't back up on it because the boat, when it tries to back up onto it, and a bigger boat you can, if you've got a big boat like a Flybridge or something, because they're big props and they get a lot of power, so they'll sort of hold it in the current, but a little boat will go around in circles and the current will pick up the front of the boat and spin you around. It doesn't work very good. So just remember, if you are out there and the current comes in, sometimes the currents come in, we've been out there and it's like 1.6 knots, it's really good, and then all of a sudden we'll see a bit of white cap on the surface and like there's not much wind, just think, what's that? The next minute the current has hit you at 3 knots, and when you're out there, what do you do? So that's when we start doing that alternative and still catch fish. But you've got 1 chance, 1 drop each time we drop it. But with electrics, it doesn't matter because you don't have to wind it back up. Just push the button. So give it a crack.
So what do you say was the optimum current?
The optimum current's about 0.8 to about 2. Yeah, 0.8 to about, I like a bit of current. So 0.8 to about 2 knots is really good. 2 to 3 knots is getting harder, but it's fishable. Over 3 is very hard. Yeah, and under 0.8, I find they just don't play so good. Yeah, or northerly current. Yeah, and the current going uphill. You call that going uphill? Yeah. So.
Fish real well on northerly winds either.
No, northerly winds are the worst wind, mate. I don't know what does it. It's the Coriolis effect, and it rolls the bottom to the top. So apparently it pushes. You don't physically see it, but what I've been told, it pushes the water up hard onto the land, and then it can't push anymore. Then the whole lot just turns over without you actually seeing it turn over. But you do on the beach. You do see it because all of a sudden all the water goes dirty and all the sea lice that are on the bottom come to the top, and that's when it's rolled over. Yeah, and it happens from there, and it works its way back out to quite deep actually too. A whole lot turns over. But you don't physically see it turn over. It's weird. I'm still trying to get my head around it. It's still coming, so I keep talking. I haven't started yet. We're just playing, okay? So who's been out chasing the dolphin fish? We'll just change the subject for a sec. Trying to? Okay. Yeah, I know Glenn got a couple the other day. He bagged out, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was plenty.
Plenty of there, yeah. So they're hit and miss. I went out the other day on last Friday morning, I think it was, and I was all around the boat. I jumped over, but there was no current. We're drifting like south at about, I don't know, maybe 100 metres in 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes. It's very, very slow. The buoy was like just sitting back a little tiny bit. And they were jumping around, they were swimming around, and we were throwing everything at it we could do. There's people throwing liveys there as well. I don't know if liveys, but other people did. They didn't want to know about it. So, but the snapper was really good around the fad, so that made up for it. But that's just the way it is. Okay, how many people here jig, deep water jigs? Anyone deep water jigs here? Anyone want to give it a crack? No? No. Too hard work. No, you're not too old, Doug.
You do it on electric reel?
Yeah, you can. That's right. That's hence why I got this sort of thing. If you've got something that's small, it'll definitely do it. Stewie's going to talk about that side of things. He's young, so he can have a crack at it. But electric reels, a lot of guys are doing it with electric reels. We get really good fish. I mean, like bass scrapers and everything, doing that technique, and just using really big jigs. I don't want to take Stewie's favourite away, but he'll tell you about it a bit later. But the fish you catch are substantially good size, like the blue-eye cod, or bass groper, and bar cod. Those seem to be the 3 species that really like it. Obviously, pearl perch only in a bit closer water, shallow water, but out deep in that 500-600 metre mark, especially around, we seem to do a lot around that 450 to 550 metres, which is quite deep, and by hand, and using something like that. That's one of my outfits, but that sort of thing. But it's really hard work. It's hard enough one to jig up, but when you get the fish on, it's a bit of an adrenaline, and but then it gets hard work. It's like one of those one fish, ticked it off, and then I'm going to go have a sleep or go use my electric. It's like that. So don't drop down again. I wouldn't. I don't. Bring us Stuart, talk about that. How many people here fish by hand in the deep? Anyone fish by hand in the deep? You're clever. Very good. Okay. Electrics are the go. Stuart's going to bring them up in a moment when those people get here. We'll talk about that as well. I just try not to say it because I want to talk to them as well. So sorry about that, guys. Just going to wait a little bit longer. Any questions at all? Any questions on that I want to know about tonight? Just shoot them at me. Don't be shy. No, everyone's good.
With, if you're making a leader up and you're putting shrink stuff on it,
Yep.
what do you use to make that shrink?
I don't really use much heat shrink on the rigs so much. The only thing I would use if I'm going to do it would be like that type of thing there, which is those little green things that you slide over the top of the hook or over the top of the crimp and heat it up. When you heat it up, use a heat torch or a hot water. Don't use a lighter of a flame of any type because it'll just destroy the line internally. But it's not a necessity so much on the rigs really. Definitely if you're going to do just your snap swivel at the end of the line. So like that fella down there. You can see I've got one on there. That's one there. That's heat shrinked on. That's the only place I use it on the whole deep drop outfit.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't really need it, matey, no. But you may use tube if you want to use tube on the swivel part at the top and on the bottom, just because that's got the most stress. There's a bit of chafing sort of thing. But the swivels are pretty good. Use good swivels, they don't have any dramas. They don't have any burrs or anything, so you don't really need it too much. Yep. Stu's actually going to make a rig tonight while we're talking, so you can sort of see how long it takes to do it. Obviously, we make them all day, every day, but he's pretty quick at it. But it'll probably take him around about, it generally takes us around about 15 to 20 minutes to make one. If you get everything all cut up, and that one would take you 10 minutes once you get good at it. But all the bits and pieces are here to do that, and Stu will run through that as well. Just need a good set of crimping pliers, just the crimping pliers. So you want the crimping pliers, I'll pass this around. You want the one that's got the hole in it and not the teeth in it, okay? Because you're crimping, you're folding the line over the top of each other and then encasing it in the tube of the aluminium. You don't want to separate it like you do with wire, okay? And if you use the one where you put the tooth and crimp it apart, the tooth actually damages the mono internally and makes it a lot weaker. So what was 100 pounds, only like 60 pounds, and it breaks at that point of the time. Yeah, so don't just use that style. Any other questions at all?
Yeah, I just had a question
Yep.
in regards to when you catch a sizable fish, leaving it on ice or just any fish.
Yeah, 100%. So really important with deep water fish is that the water down there is like, when you go to a dam or somewhere, even just in the broadwater, if you dive down 3 metres, it's really quite cold compared to the top. Well, imagine down 300 or 400 metres, it's actually very, very cold. So I think the water temperature down there is around about 12 degrees as far as I know. So if you bring the fish up into 30 or 40 degree element like we have at the moment, it's going to go pretty bad pretty quick. So my suggestion, we always have I just use the big bags, unless you've got the luxury of a big ice box in the floor of your boat. You need to have ice regardless of no matter what. So I start off with 3 or 4 bags of ice, so a 1.5 metre bag. It's quite deep and quite generous in the size. It's not one of the skinny ones, it's one of the wider ones. And once I get one good fish in there, I pour maybe 1 or 2 bags of ice on it and put the others around it. And then as I get a couple more fish, then I'll start to pour the other bags over the top of it. It's very hard, unfortunately, with those bags to get the ice back out and put it on top of the fish every time you put another fish in there. So you've got to sort of allow 2 fish, 1 bag. That's how I sort of do it, yeah.
The bags hold the ice reasonably?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, as long as you get the better one, the 20 mil thick instead of 10, so your ice holds a lot better. If you keep it down somewhere in your console, like maybe even where if you've got a centre console, between the seat and the console, where you sort of stand out of the sun, or down on the side of the coaming, sort of where it's not getting the heat directly on it, but it's opposite side of the boat, you're drifting all the time, out of the way from the sun. There's a few little tricks, but maybe put a bit of salt on the ice if you want to keep it even cooler. Make sure you zip it up every time you put a fish in there. Really important too, keep the cold air in there. But you have to put it on ice. Then
like ice slurry with a salt water.
Yeah, ice slurry is really good if you've got that in the bottom of your boat. If you've got a well, yeah, a fish well on the side of in the floor of the boat. I definitely don't keep putting water through it from outside and pumping water on. I think you're keeping it clean and fresh.
No.
It actually cooks the fish, so you need to actually don't put any water on there except for a bucket of water at the start, and then put it to ice, then make a slurry. So like 1 bucket of water to say 2 or 3 bags of ice, yeah, and make a slurry. And it'll eventually melt a little bit, but it'll get super cold. All your fish, you should either brain spike or bleed it, cut throat, whatever, as soon as you catch it as well. They're pretty, they're pretty stuffed, especially with electrics. It pulls them a bit faster than by hand, so they'll generally pop their eyes out, especially the cod, and they get paratrauma, and their skin will sort of go a bit funny. But if you still cut their throat, either they're half dead or pretty well dead, they still do bleed. Well, I find they do, and it works quite well. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what's the deepest you've caught a big snapper?
Big snapper, probably only about 100 and... Oh, no, sorry. A big one like over 10 kilo, do you mean?
Like 95 centimetres?
Yeah. 100 metres, 110.
We've got one at 180.
180, did you?
We got one at 280.
Did you? I haven't caught one that big in the deep. I've caught heaps of snapper, but not big ones like I get
But
in
they
closer.
didn't get trauma.
No,
We pulled
and
them up with the electric rail.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, no,
We could still-
snapper, kingies, flame snapper. I don't know what they have in their belly, but it doesn't get the barrow trauma like say a pearly or pearlies aren't too bad, but cod or others.
Black cod blow up.
Yeah, black cod blow up. It's correct.
Even if you lose one, you just wait for it to pop up somewhere.
Yeah, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. If your rod's going like that, and then it just goes like that, keep an eye out. Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes they will kick back down. I find if you lose a fisher in the first third of the distance up, they won't come up. But if you're sort of above halfway,
Yeah, they pop up.
they'll pop up, generally speaking.
Big volcanoes.
Yeah, and allow for current and everything, because you got to look near where you've been drifting, but sometimes they've got in the current stream and they're in front of the boat, drifting in front of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's just curious about the snapper.
Yeah, no, well, that's, you're fished off Morteno?
Yeah, it was out off there.
Yeah.
It was in the closed snapper when that closed
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, right, yeah,
We
right.
went way out
Yeah,
to get away from them.
yeah, and still get a catch on them, yeah.
And we just kept
Yeah.
pulling snapper.
Yeah, probably the biggest snapper I've caught up there is there's a couple of wrecks, sort of east of Tempest there, in one's about 140 metres, one about 180. And I have caught I've caught jewies out there too in that
This was
depth.
off over the ledge.
Oh, is it? Right, okay. Yeah, okay, well I haven't heard of that
280.
before. Yeah, right, yeah. Interesting fact, yeah. Yeah. Were they black belly?
No, just
No.
a red donkey looking.
Yeah, yeah, so it's red on top of it. If they've got black in their scales at the bottom, they're in like mud bottom, yeah. Yeah, okay, well done. First time I heard of that.
We had to let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know. I know.
we went away from fishing. and catching them.
Yeah, well. Just another thing too, guys, I'm sorry these people run late. I'll probably start, I think it'll be late. But I don't get involved in politics when it comes to fishing unless I have to, but I know the greenies or whatever are really working hard on a lot of closures at the moment. They're obviously going hard in WA, and WA is like about half the year's pretty well, or 2/3 of the year's shut down for bottom fishing, demersals. And there's actually about 100 species on that list, which doesn't leave you much, except pilchards maybe. And I know they've done the mackerel here, and they've done the snapper and the bell perch here. Now they're targeting the nanagai. Apparently it's going to be next on the list up north. And then it's going to keep going from there. So if ever you see a get-together rally type thing, you need to attend it and tell every mate you know to attend it. In New South Wales, they're too scared to do it because they did some down there about 3 or 4 years ago, and they had like 10,000 people rocked up, and the politicians crapped themselves and said, stop it, and that's why they don't have many closures down there. Or they have green zones, but they don't have actually fish closures. So,
During that close season here, the snapper and bell perch, every one of them you catch even though you're trying not to. They got no row, nothing.
yeah, it's out of season. Everything was late this year, actually. They're rowed up now. We caught some, we baited out the snapper the other day when we were dolphin fish fishing, and they're only 45, 55 centimetre ones, but they were all rowed up, which is unusual.
So I don't know if they got the right time.
They just take a punt on it to make it hard for us. Yeah, anyhow.
You didn't put a deep dropper down when you were down with the other stuff.
Oh, you mean with
You
the
got
dolphin
that
fish the other day?
Yeah.
Oh, the other day, no. Oh, well, yeah. We actually, they're on the surface swimming around, they just wouldn't bite. And then I looked in the sound and I could see fish down about, we're in 66 metres, I think it was. There's fish down about 50 metres. So I said to my son, there could be dollies down there, or they might be biting down there. So I just put a little piece in, and there's no current. Went down, and then the rod just took off, and I thought, here we go. I said, you pulled it up, and it was about a 48 centimetre snapper. And I thought, okay, so we switched to a couple of bottom fish rods, but it only took us 2 drifts, so very slow drifts, and we bagged out and ate straight away, yeah. And they're all good. They're all, I don't think we got one under about 45, yeah.
With the, I'll come to the seminar on dolphin fish, we went out and it was like 2 knots of current and then a northerly wind. And you're kind of dropping it down, and before you know it, you're past the buoy.
Yeah.
And I think they're just floating on top, you're not
Yeah.
catching anything.
Yeah.
Would you put anything on them? Like a
Yeah,
stick
like
or
a
anything?
1 or 2 ball maybe to get down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll talk tonight about drifting. It's really important you learn to back up
Yeah.
in the
Well,
boat.
the problem
Yeah.
was then there's like charter boats everywhere.
Yep.
and,
Yeah,
20 boats.
yeah, I know, that's right.
Shut down pretty quick when you get back.
Yeah, you got to. It's first in, first served. Actually, you got to get there early.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple as that. But I tell everyone to get there early, then everyone turns up early. But you got to get out there early, mate. or come back later. Like, actually, Glenn, you said they come on lunchtime, mate, after everyone gone.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, after everyone goes.
Smashed them.
So don't be shy to try fads later in the day. Yeah, when
we're
everyone's
dry
gone.
trawling for
Yeah.
5 hours.
Yeah. No, this last few days have been caught trawled on skirts. Yeah. More than baits, actually. Okay, I think we'll get going. So, sorry, guys. Does you mind, lovers? Are they far away, do you know? Oh, is your friends
right
coming?
here.
Oh, you're here. Oh, good. There you go. Okay, so still 2 more people coming though. Okay, fantastic. Okay, we'll get going. So, anyhow, thanks for waiting, being patient. That's good. Okay, so deep dropping. I love deep dropping. I love it. It's anticipation of those of you who haven't done it. It's like the Wild West. You don't hold your rod, you run over your rod holder. You can hold it if you want to, but I wouldn't suggest it in deep water, especially if you've got a big sinker hanging off it. You watch the tip. It's all watching the tip. And when the tip, you'll see the bites. Very, very easy. Okay, even got 4 kilos of lead on or 1 kilo, it doesn't matter. It's just the rod bends a bit more. So this is quickly how to do it before we actually go through it all. So if I'm fishing on this, my rod would be probably bent with 1 kilo of lead. I'll hold it this way actually, sorry. With 1 kilo of lead, it'd be bent around about that, okay? And when I get a bite, it'll be quite aggressive. And when they hook up, they're on like that, right? If I've got, say, 2 kilos of lead on, my rod's about there. Oh, they're here. Okay, sorry. Mate or mate?
Yeah.
Good, that's all right. Do you know what sea trial, mate?
Yeah.
Cool, thanks, mate. Was there another gentleman with you, mate?
Yeah, he's just getting a beer.
Okay, that's all right. That's very important. So when you got 2 kilos of lead on, we just started, mate. We hung around for you, buddy. When you got 2 kilos of lead on, it's probably about there. And when you get a bite on, again, you'll see it quite aggressive. You'll see it hook up. It's got a fish on it, and sometimes it'll be like that. And I'll wait till I get the second bite, and then I've got 2 fish on, okay? And then I'll pull it up. It's quite tempting sometimes to get that first fish on to pull it up, but you'll know whether it's worth pulling up or not. If it's like that, and it's probably just a little ornate snapper or ornate dogfish or something. But when it's bouncing around like that, you want to push that button, okay? Or if it's just constantly pulled over, it's good fish. 4 kilos of lead, it's quite bent over, just drifting. But again, you'll see the bites and you'll see it load up with the fish on it, okay? Yeah, but it's just like that, and it's out of the rod holder. And what the part I was saying before, it's anticipation. You sort of like sit down like the Wild West, just push the button. It's like that. Sort of like, and then up you come. And then it's just a matter of watching it, have a drink with your mates, talk to your mates, and hopefully they get a fish on as well.
15 minutes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So my suggestion always is not to wind too fast because, especially with pearlies, they'll spin off. So how many guys here chase pearlies in that 100 metre line, 130, 140 metres? Yep, and done all right? Yep, with electrics. How you going, buddy? Do you know what seat number you are, my friend?
Yeah, right.
Do you know what seat number you are?
No.
No.
Within.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
That's it. Cool. Got the beers. All good, buddy. So I'll go through the gear, and then Stu's going to bring the combo, so I wanted to show you those as well, but he'll be up here very shortly, I dare say. And we'll go through that. But I'll run you through what you need to have. So in your bag, you've got little bits and pieces there to start making up a few rigs. So how many people make their own rigs? A few of you do. And how many people want to make their own rigs? But it's quite a fair bit cheaper, right? To buy, the reason why we charge the rigs, I said, takes 20 minutes and a half an hour to make one. So the ones from China are obviously cheaper, but they're not made as good as our local made ones. So the ones in that little box there, which you guys have got, which is this fella here, we use these on flamies and we use them on definitely on pearl perch, from anywhere from 100 to about 280 metres. They're on 80-pound fluorocarbon. So 80-pound fluorocarbon's like probably around 100 to 120-pound mono in the abrasion resistance and strength. So I've caught heaps of flamies around 8-10 kilos on these and kingies and 10-15 kilos and no problems at all. I think I even caught a couple of bar cod in the 20 kilo range, maybe. They're circle hooks, of course. And they seem to hold out all right. And bang for buck, they're just really, really good things to use. They are 2 rigs of 2. Okay, so there's two on a paternoster. My suggestion is to tie the bottom one where the loop is on to tie your sinker on, to cut it and tie it to the top swivel of the next one. So you've got 4 hooks on the one rig. That's what I do, and it works really well. So that's like what I use around for pearlies and in close. The other rig I use, which you guys have got, is one of these fellows. Not in that blue bag, but you've got the same sort of thing. It's a smaller hook rig. These are the ones we hand make. These are on a UV leader, so the leader material is quite unique. We don't see UV spectrum because we physically don't see it as a human, but they do. I don't know who asked the fish, but someone did. And but they see it. Oh, sorry. It lights up like so. Okay, so in the water, the whole thing is a spectrum that we don't see. We can't see that physically, but when UV's applied to it, that's how they see it. And that plus your flashing light or fixed light, whichever you got on your top of your rig, definitely enhances your fishing. So if your mate hasn't got the UV rig and you have, I bet you anything you're getting out fishing like 2 bites to 1 or 3 bites to 1. We've done the exercise many times. It works
After
really
what
good.
depth would you recommend a UV start?
Sorry, my friend?
After what depth?
I use it 100 metres onwards, but the deeper they are, the better they work. The deeper it is. Yeah, the skirts on some of these, they'll glow blue, some glow green. Stewie, mate, perfect timing, mate. That's all right, mate. Thank you. Good work, mate. That's your little area over here, mate. This way. Thank you, my friend. Okay. So I'm going to work in from depth to depth to depth to depth, okay? So we're going to start in around the 100 metre line and then go out a bit deeper and a bit deeper and a bit deeper. Thank you, Stuart. Stuart's done a good job getting this ready. That's the one we want first. I'll put these two over there, thanks, mate. So, I use I've got a Force Master. I've got a couple of old Daiwa Tenacom reels as well, but these are the newer models, are much more advanced. I've got a Plays 4000 as well. So my Plays 4000, which is about where they started in the Shimano range, I use that from 100 metres to around about 400 metres, so, and even deeper. So it does everything for me. It's the same rod as I use on my bigger reels. It's just a little bit less line capacity and bang for buck, quite good value. I run a 100 to 150 pound wind-on leader. So the wind-on leader is about 6 metres long, and it enables you to get the line on the reel and wind the fish right up to there with a lot of power. And if the fish is out there and you want to grab it and pull it in, you can grab it without breaking the line. It's got a couple of big cods hang off it. But all these reels have like a stop button, so a memory button on the surface on the way up. So how it works is like an elevator, so it's like quite whatever speed you want to run it at, that's just right all there. But you run it sort of half speed or a bit over, but as it's coming up, and then as it gets to the top, it slows right down, and then it stops. And the fish are just there, and you gaff them and pull them in the boat. That's how it works. Your drag is the power, not this one. That's just the speed. So the more drag you apply, they have like a computer, and the more power it adds to the torque to the reel. So if you run a light drag, it won't give it much power. If you run a heavy drag, it'll give as much power as it can give it. Does that make sense? And that's on all the reels. It doesn't matter what brand it is or what type it is. That's how they all work. Some reels have the motor in the spool, some reels have the motor in the reel. Depends on what brand it is. That'd be about it. Yeah. My suggestion is when you buy a rod, make sure it's reasonably long, not too short. There are short rods on the market. They're terrible. You all know how boats are. At the back of the boat, they're quite sloped down towards the motor, and you've got at least a metre from where the rod's sitting in the rod holder, reel sitting in the rod holder, to just to the back of the boat before you can get to the length of the motor behind the boat. So if it's too short a rod, it's going to be around the back of the motor all the time. With deep dropping, you want to keep your lines away from the motor. Really important. We don't mind sounding braid, but you will get, it's always chopped off at the waterline, and you just drop 400 metres or 500 metres of braid. So these hold about 600 metres of 80 pounds too.
About 500, yeah.
Yeah, 500-600 metres of 80, which is just enough to fish that 400 metre, up to 400 metre line. And they're strong enough to bring up two 20, 30 kilo cods at a time. Quite aggressive. Your next step up, so I'll go through all this first, then I'll tell you how to rig it all up. Your next step up is probably going to be the 800 Stu.
Yep.
So that's the 800 Tenacon, thank you, Manny. Which is sort of in between a Forcemaster and a Plays. Line capacity that's due about 800 maybe?
What's
Or
that?
600.
Line class?
Yeah, a line capacity.
500 of 100. Yeah.
500 of 100.
500 of 100, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
around
be
about
600 of 80.
680, yeah. So just that little bit more line capacity. Same deal, throttle again, drag controls the power, free spool, click it in the gear, and away you go. And all of these reels have jig functions. All electrics these days have jig functions on as well. I have a couple of friends who are similar age to me, a bit older, and they don't like to jig by hand. They jig with their electric reel. They just sit back and watch it, and it's doing its thing. And it hooks up on kingies and stuff. And they use it in like 80 metres deep and catch monster kings on it and do really well. But I haven't got to that level yet. I still use my hand by hand. And that's quite a long rod. That's a Salter 64 HT. It's a dia rod. It's actually quite a good rod too. It's quite soft on the tip. They've all got swivel tips as well, so they follow the line around with the angle that wherever it is behind the boat, so it doesn't bend the butt. So before swivel tips come out 20, 30 years ago, when we used to first deep drop fish, we didn't have this luxury. They were just rollers. Actually, I used to use my old chair rod. And but the butts used to bend, so the rod was there and my butt was like that angle, because it bent the butt rather than bend the tip around, follow the tip. Then we go up to, we'll tell you the prices later because I can't tell you what in front of the screen here. Jump up to the 1200, yeah, that fella there, Stu. So this is one, so that one you can fish obviously up to 400, 500 metres, 500 max, maybe 400. This is a 1200 Tenacon. So this one here and the Forcemaster are our two biggest sellers. Bang for bucks is a bit cheaper than a Forcemaster, so it sells about probably one on one. Yeah, one on one. A lot of people like to pay a bit more and get the Shimano one. And they do one called a Sea Power, which is a better version of this one as well, which we have downstairs. But these things hold 1,000 metres of 80. 80 pounds actually enough to fish the bottom out there, generally speaking. I don't think I've ever broken off on a fish on 80 pound yet in all my reels. And some guys come and they want 200 pound braid on the reels. And I go, like, you don't need it, mate. You seriously don't need it. Unless you're fishing maybe Tonga or somewhere. They're catching big gropers that are 300 kilos or something.
When diameter would kill you in the current?
Well, that kills you, and then capacity kills you. You just don't get the capacity on the reel, you know.
The other thing is if you
Yeah.
get snagged, you can't bust
No,
it.
you can't
It's hard
bust it.
enough to bust 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even this stuff, you nearly want to wrap it around the bollard to pop it, you know. The rod's like, finally it might pop somewhere down the bottom there. Depends who tied the knots
Usually find the sinkers.
or crimped it. Sinker snags, but I use a 100 pound breakaway because sinkers are too dear.
Do a breakaway.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I use a 100 pound in this one. That one there. Because it's a little bit softer than the hard line. It's a softer line, so it tends to break easier. But still, 100 pound takes a fair bit to break.
We use that orange rope
Oh, yeah.
and then put a breakaway piece of 100 in amongst it.
Oh, do you? Yeah, okay. Down the road? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just
Yeah.
because the rope,
Yeah.
it gets chafed up and stuff.
Yeah, right, yes. Yeah,
Whereas if you just use the mono, it'll get busted off.
yeah. The only problem is the sinkers. Like, the sinkers are so expensive, you know, if you're using
Yeah,
lead.
no, use Rio, but
Oh, okay. Rio Bar's cheaper. Trouble with Rio Bar, which I'm going to tell you about a bit later.
Russ.
Yeah, no, I know Russ, but they've done tests. Actually, I think it might have been Jace that does the leader system rigs, which we also sell as well, but we've run out. We've sorted some more today. But he's got a camera that goes down like 800 metres and drop the camera down. And when you drop down steel, which is these sinkers here are steel, obviously a lot cheaper. So when they hit the bottom, especially got rocks, they make a noise and the fish go like that. And when you drop the lead down, they don't make any noise and the fish don't really care, you know. It's a different sound. But when the fish are biting, I don't think they really care. Yeah.
we normally just weld 3 bits of whatever, it's 32 mil
Yep.
just to get it with a chunk of steel.
No, heaps of guys that do heat shrink over it and they wrap them with gaffer tape. It all works. It's up to you guys what you're going to do, you know. But in your bag you have a 1 kilo sinker, which is ones we sell heaps of these. They do up to 3 kilos, all different greens and blues and whatever. Just give them a crack. They're really, really good. So I'll kick out the outfits and I'll show you about sinkers in a minute. So the next one is the Force Master, which I showed you earlier, guys. So that's sort of, in all of the 5 combos we have here tonight, that's the top of the range. And the Force Master is just a bit more oomph in the power, okay? Yeah, a lot more oomph. And it's pretty, like some of the reels, especially my old Tanacoms, there's no 1,000 views here, that's true. No, so my old Tanacom, quite often it'll stop when I get a good fish on it, it'll sort of wind up and it just goes beep, 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 and it stops and the fish they're pulling on it and hope the guy doesn't fall off. And then it kicks back in again and goes again because it gets a bit hot and it's like a micro flash stop and it goes again. Most of these don't, they'll stop those, keep going. They don't actually time out. So they're good. Any questions on the rods and reels? All good? Okay, cool. Okay, so we started talking about the rigs before. So the rigs are the next thing. So the rigs we use are depending on the depth that you're fishing. So if you're fishing in that sort of up to 130 metres, I would use probably something as in that style, like I was saying, or maybe 200 metres, even 280 I use them. Then once you get out to 230, you get a lot more chance of getting bigger bar cod and stuff like that. So if you're using 80-pound leader, like it's okay, but if you get a 30 kilo, 40 kilo cod and it swallows the whole thing, they do have a raspy little tooth mouth and they will chafe you off sometimes on the fight, but not very often. The unfortunate part is you get a lot of green eye sharks. Has anyone not caught a green eye shark yet? You're lucky if you haven't.
3.
Three. Oh yeah. 6 at a time, exactly right, mate. If you know someone who wants to go clean them out, please tell them.
Apparently they're good eating.
They are good eating. Yeah, actually, there's not. If you like flake, they're much better than any flake you've ever tasted. Better than gummies, you know. Yeah, no, they're good. They're good. They're very white meat. Just be careful you get a green eye shark there. They're a lonely little shark. They go from that to big too.
They're like catfish, big spikes.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, one on the dorsal and one down the tail. I've been impaled a couple of times in the forearm.
Side fins too.
Have they got side fins?
Yeah.
Have they? Oh, I've never seen this. I always grab them on the gills. So you got to grab them in the head, in the gills, over the top. It's the only place you can grab them where they sort of can't get you, but sometimes the back one will get you. They're like locusts on the bottom end here, okay? Some places have them, some places don't have them. It's up to you guys to try and find the spots that doesn't have them. And then they'll come in somewhere, you have like 2 or 3 trips and you get flamies and you get bar cod and you get everything else. And then you go back there and think, oh, I've got the spot with no green eyes. The next minute you could show the sound, you drop down and as you were saying, you pull up 6 of them at once or 5 of them at once or whatever it might be.
There's also some really nice.
Oh, there are, yes, a lot of oceanic sharks there out there too. Yeah. No, we've hooked a few big ones too. Yeah, they're painful.
You get to the surface and you're like, just cuttering off.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, no, they're too hard to wrestle with. So the rigs we're going to use are small. The next step up is your bit bigger rig, which is probably going to be the one that you've got in the packet or the next size up in these bad boys here, which is like a 10-0. And they're on like 200-pound leader and 200-pound branch. So these fellows we're going to be using anywhere from that 250 to 500 metre line, and we're expecting to catch blue-eye cod, bass groper, bar cod. 10-0s are heaps enough. If I'm chasing bar cod, as in bar cod, just only bar cod, or even blue-eye have quite a big mouth as well. Yeah, 15s or 16s, that's correct, which is the next model up. They're a lot bigger hooks and heavier line again. So they're on like 2 or 3, 300-pound branch, 400 main. I think this one's around about 300 main. So they're quite heavy and aggressive. And our baits are still not massively big. So the baits we're using on those smaller hooks, when I'm fishing for pearlies, I tend to use still pillies and squid. When I'm fishing for the flamies and barcod, I tend to use mullet fillets. They seem to work better. And when I'm fishing for the blue eye, and that I still use mullet fillets. If you've got slimies, they're fine, cut in half or whatever. And some people tell me if the green eyes are really bad, people watching here, but if you fill a green eye to eat and you decide I might just try to do this for bait, you put a bit on the hook, the sharks will maybe not come near other baits because they smell their mate there. So, yeah. So you want to try that yet? You going to try it? Yeah, try it. Try it. I know they're a pain in the backside, Doug, right? Yeah. So they're the most prolific shark in the ocean. That they call them dogfish overseas. I caught them over in Canada once. They call them dogfish or spiny dogfish. They're the same thing there. Because most sharks are not meant to have a bone. These guys have a solid bone spike, as you know, sticking out. So they overdo it. So they're classed them then as a fish instead of a shark. So it depends what country you're in, they're a shark or a fish. But they are everywhere, and there are trillions of them out there. And you only keep one, supposedly, it's classed as a shark. You only keep one shark, that's it. So that's the stupid part. And they survive really well. They'll skip along the top of it when you first throw them out. A little bit of a headache maybe. Then they'll go down. Yeah, I'll shoot down. Okay, so that's the rigs. But Stewie's going to show us how to make us a rig in a moment. But what you need to make that rig, this is the important part. You'll need your hooks. You'll need your tube swivels or swivels that are joined together, so link swivels, and which is like this style here. I'll pass these around. They're a link swivel, so they're a bolt packet. They work out about 70 cents a swivel. So to make your own rig, if you buy the hooks, you're looking about probably about 70 cents a hook, 70 cents a swivel, and you've got obviously 3 on average on a set. So that's 6 times 70 is $4.20. And the line, depends if you use UV line, is quite expensive. This is the UV line itself. It's a lot more softer and nicer to use than say normal mono. And it's UV colour as well. That's 200 pounds, there's 130, there's 150. I'll pass it around, you can feel the difference. I'll just pass some 120 and 130 in that, you'll see the difference. So this line is actually about as soft as you'll get in all the monos on the market, I reckon, Stu, is that right?
Yeah, it's one of the softer ones, definitely. It's still very abrasive resistant. Still got a harder coating on it, but
you feel
it is very
If you feel that and that, you'll see what I mean by the difference in the feel. So the UV's the one that's loose, and it's a lot softer, but it's very hard coating, but it's a lot softer to use and nicer to rig.
What size bandage can you use?
Up to 200. 200 is the heaviest. So I'll pass that around too. That's that one there, mate. We sell it.
I think we just use it.
Yeah, 200 mono, that's right, but it's a little bit coily, right? This stuff just lays flat, beautiful. Yeah, in the deck.
Does the size of your line affect your bite rate?
No,
Like it doesn't show it?
not out there, it doesn't, no. It just affects the drag a little bit, like in the current.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the way down in particular. So if you have too heavy a line and you've got a bit of current or windage, I talked about before, and it's free falling, it will get picked up and take a bit longer to get down to the bottom. If you use a bit thinner line, the old mate, the same size thing could be like that, it'll be like that. So it does make a disadvantage on the way down. So try and keep everything a bit compact. That's why I don't use too big a baits. Use too big a baits, the current gets it again, and you're forever out there, another one straight down like that. So keep your baits small. So when I'm using mullet fillets, guys, I'm cutting about the size of 2 fingers. Okay, about that width, about that long. So the strip of the mullet fillet's normally like that sort of thing, and I just cut it in chunks that way. And the tail part, I'll cut down V it that way. So I get about 7 baits out of a mullet fillet, standard mullet fillet. Don't go in and out, in and out, in and out. I just go through in. What I do is I put a pilchard head on first. So I do use a pilchard head with the mullet fillet. It's a little bit of a trick. So I cut a pilchard in half. On my circle hook, I put the hook through the eye of the pilchard, and that's it. And then I'll put the mullet fillet on, just 1 dig through it, or maybe 2 on the mullet fillet, and the pilchard head hangs down behind it. And when the fish bites, that mulches up everywhere, and his mates come in on it. If you don't use the pilchard head and just use the mullet fillets, I believe you don't get as many fish. Just try it again. You got to experiment with your mates. One becomes the tester, one becomes the hero that gets all the fish by doing all the right things. But it definitely does make a difference. Okay, so the UV leader, we've done with Tony, definitely works better. Using the pilchard works better. That's two things I definitely suggest you try.
So how many hooks were you running?
I only run sort of, it depends on where I'm fishing. So if I'm fishing flamies and stuff like that, only 3 or 4 at the most.
2, 3, 4, 500 metres.
Yeah, like most of these smaller reels are going to struggle if you've got 5 cod that are all 30 kilos on there. If that makes sense. It would be a wish dream come true.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 is enough, mate, generally speaking. Yeah. But you're allowed 6.
Yeah, we run 6, but we put, I think, about 2 metre spaces between them. So
Yeah, we run about 1.5 metres.
About 1.2.
1.2 to 1.5 between, yeah. You need to run at least, mate, like you're saying, because
Well, you gotta-
sometimes the fish are 1.3 long, right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, they tear it off halfway through sometimes. Too.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so no, you're doing that right. But the branch, don't make your branches too long, guys. So we try and
They
keep,
spin around.
yeah, that's
Lock-
exactly right.
lock up on each other.
Correct. So we keep ours at about 400 or 500 mil.
300. Yeah.
Yeah, by the time you crimp it all up, it's about 300 or
We use a
something.
little tube on the end of it.
Sometimes we do.
Only on the
Swivel
the
end.
swivel end, not on
Not-
the hook
not the
end.
hook
So
end.
if you put tube when you're crimping inside a hook, the hook doesn't free swing and doesn't work like a normal circle should.
The circle's got to be very
Yeah.
articulated,
So
can't be
you put a
fixed.
tube on- like we got pretty big swivels, like
Mm.
they're tiny.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, I just grabbed those.
Just put the tubes
Except-
on,
Yeah.
on the hook.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
But you still
Yep.
run the green peas or whatever.
Yep, 100%. Yep, exactly right. So the one you've got, the rig you've got in your bag, just copy it, but upscale it or downscale it, whatever size
Do
you
you
want.
find that those little squid skirts and that help? Or?
Yep, 100%. Anything that's Lumo helps, and lights help as well. So as I said before, we've got the swivel going around. Like use tube swivels, which are. I just grabbed little ones because we've got massive ones on the wall. Trust me, but they're just basic. Yeah, 3-way swivels. Yeah, don't use the old 3-way swivels that like swivel,
With the
swivel,
pin
swivel.
on
They fall out.
Like a straight with a one hanging off.
Yeah, that's the same as that one there, but the other one that's going around. Sorry. Yeah. So that one they actually crimp onto the line, so it crimps onto your line. So,
Yeah, we found these sometimes break.
so what? No, they don't break. But what you got to do with those, you got to put a little inch
Like
piece of
sacrifice
piece packet in behind it, and it locks onto the line really good. If you just try and crimp it onto your line and get it to hold the line, you're going to damage your line. You're going to squash your
Yeah, bruises your main line,
bruise your
sort of
main
break
line.
inside the swivel.
yeah.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
went away from them and went to just try.
Yeah, like the other one around. Yeah, that's right.
Takes longer to make it.
Yeah, a little bit longer. But that's it. And then Stu's going to make a rig up here real quickly.
Was mac tuna all right?
Yeah, good bait. Yeah, so, but the secret again is if you've got a big mac tuna, it's like this thick, just cut it about probably 20 mil thick.
About 10 mil.
10 or 20 mil thick's fine. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Some
So-
of it was bonita and salt it down so it stays smooth.
Yeah, bonito's good too. Yeah, the flesh flakes off the skin. So, but mac tuna's good bait, slimey's good bait, bonito's good bait. Obviously, squid's not too bad, but I don't get as much on it. And sharks love the squid, the green eyes love it. So maybe put squid on your mate's line. Keep the sharks out that side of the boat. So we've got the swivels, we've got them spaced apart, we've got all our Lumo paraphernalia on the end, whether it be beads or squid skirts. Now squid skirts, guys, there's all different colours that glow. We carry about, I don't know, probably 10 colours in that glow, but that's just some of them that sort of glow. So there's different colour greens, there's green and reds, there's pinks that glow, and there's like that sort of greeny glow. And there's other glows as well. Keep the skirt short and small, not too big. Again, it's all about the drag going down. You can't have big chunky things on it unless you use more lead. In saying that, the deep drop rod doesn't know what size leads. It doesn't care about winding it up. So if you want to throw 4 kilos on and put big chunky things on, then do it. That's up to you guys. Okay. That's the best thing about electric reels. Doesn't argue about if you want to have a try there, try the spot, drop down. If you get your mates to it by hand, they're going, no, you drop, So it gets a bit hard. but with electrics you can just go for it. So that's our rigs. At the top of our line, which you saw here, we run a swivel, a snap swivel, and a fairly decent size one. You've got those in your bag as well. I think size 6 or 7s are good. Something's around about 75 or 80 kilos. And that's going to be at least a ball bearing model, so it spins nicely. If you have decent fish on, it's not going to break, whatever. It's really important you learn how to crimp properly. And I might just get, well, Stewie's going to rig up now, just quickly reel here, but I'll get Stewie to also just walk around a bit of mono in each row and show you. I'll get on that side and then back up the side and just show you how to crimp properly. Does anyone not know how to crimp properly?
I might just crimp one and just pass it around.
Oh,
You can
okay.
have a look at it.
Yeah. So when you crimp it, you've got to crimp away from the edge and leave a little flange. If you crimp on the end, you'll cut the line. You can cut the line and damage the line. So you leave about a 1/2 mil flange and come in and then crimp it. And crimp it so the crimp's sort of that shape, not that shape, if that makes sense. It's got to be that way. And then crimp over the top that way, okay? Crimp over the long part.
You got a pair of scissors, eh, buddy?
Yep.
And is that 100?
That one there's,
Stuff or not?
that one's 200. Oh, that one there's 130.
Is it?
That one's 130, I think. Yeah. Okay, any questions so far on that at all?
So the line that you're making up, Stewie, what's that, like 150 main and...
So this is just 130, 130. So standard like pearly, flame snapper, bit of everything rig. But yeah.
Sub 300 metres.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the depths a few times. Is
Yes.
there a broad sort of band what fish you're getting, what depths? Is it like 150
No,
to 350?
okay, you won't
Barking,
get many snapper over 300 metres. How deep was the deepest you got snapper in, mate?
240 or 280?
Yeah, we've caught them out to about 280, but 280 is about the deepest we've caught snapper in, but not that size. They're all maybe 60 centimetres.
We just dropped into it and it was just one after another.
They must have been travelling and schooled up. But so snapper you don't go over 280. Pearl is, I've never caught a pearly over about 140,
Yeah, well, it was a close
but some areas you can catch them 180. And flame snapper don't start under about 220. So the shallowest I caught a flame is about 220.
to about one depth.
Oh, their happy depth's about 280 to 380. That's their happy depth for flamies. At 280 to 300 is like the Holy Grail sort of thing, right? For bar cod, you get little bar cod in 100 metres, but the average decent sized bar cod around that 10 to 20 kilos or 30 kilos is in that sort of 220 to 350 metre mark. And then,
Get them on the top of the drop off on the 220.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 220 is good. Yeah, 220 is good.
On the top, on the bottom.
Yep.
It's green eyes on the top was Marcos.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, they're together. Yeah, that's right. That is right. And you know, I one time there, over time, I've kept a couple of green eyes, and when I've opened them up, they've actually had. There must be like a pack of piranhas on a bark cod. They must pack hunt them or something like they do. But I've caught green eye, and internal they've had like cookie cutter size chunks of cod in them, and some of the cod the skin's very thin, so it's a small cod. Another cod it's been quite thick, so it's obviously a big cod. So they must be eating a lot of the cod, more decimating them probably more than we do, unfortunately. But anyhow, but I would dare think the cod have their revenge sometimes, because I caught cod on the shark, use it for bait. Definitely.
I don't know if they like to bite into them because of the spikes, but
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. Yeah, they definitely eat them filled, don't they? Yeah,
what sort
definitely.
of depths do you get on the trevally or?
Okay, so trevella, blue-eye trevella, we get those sort of, the shallows I caught them is probably around about 300 metres, 320, but the average depth's around that sort of 380 to 550. Yep. Does that make sense, guys? And the bass groper, the shallows we got is about 420, maybe 400.
Yeah, 400 maybe.
Yeah.
Not big ones, but yeah, 400-ish.
And the average bigger bass groper, like that 70 kilo size or 60 kilo size, is in that sort of 480 to 550 or 600.
So we're off Cairns and we've got these, what they call raised brim.
Yeah, I've caught those down here too. Yeah, and I've caught them at Cairns as well.
And they're prolific. Like, just pull them up. What are they like?
Yeah, that's
They're really
like,
good.
okay, if you talk to a long liner who's catching swordfish or whatever, he'd swap a chunk of swordfish for a piece of raised bream. So if you get a raised bream, guys, I've never caught one under about 300 metres or 320.
No, we're at 550.
Yeah, that's right. They like that sort of 500 metre line. They're like a permit. There's like sort of like a big brim. They come up silver, but they change to black colour by the time they lose their colour. They come like a purpley silver colour. And you've got a little tiny mouth, like a pomfret.
Yeah, they cut up well.
Very good. Very good to eat. Yeah, really good to eat. So everything in the deep water is good to eat, really. Yeah.
We've got some psycho fish up there, I'll show you later.
Yeah.
We've not really, it had
Okay.
3 big teeth.
3 big teeth.
They
Okay.
had like an exoskeleton,
Oh, right.
real big long.
Okay. I don't know that one. No.
Yeah, it was.
You get some weird and wonderful things out
We
there.
got chopped off with them.
Okay.
We managed to get 2 to the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, right.
But it's, they just cut through 300 pound like it was butter.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Teeth. It might be a oilfish, maybe. They got big teeth too.
Yeah, maybe.
So guys, that's your rig. So any questions on the rigs at all? All good? Okay, cool. So lights. So the light goes on this snap swivel at the top. Again, do lights make a difference? Look, sometimes I don't put one on and I still catch fish. But when I put one on, I just feel more comfortable. I like to use a fixed blue light, like that colour there, if you can sort of see that. That's my favourite colour. Or this fellow here. These are my 2 favourites. I like blue more than greens or disco colours or anything else. So this one here is, it does flash. Put my hands. So it's a blue, same colour blue, but it's like a flashing blue. So I just like blue. But that's up to you guys what you want to use. We've got greens. That's a multi. That's actually commercial style. They run on A batteries, and they're just a turn on, turn off thing. They'll go down to 1,000 metres. I have used these other ones in sort of 600 metres and no dramas at all.
Sometimes they implode.
Yeah, the ones that implode are these things here. These are really good though. So it's just like your Xylem stick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so those fellows there, I just use a bit of line, I crimp it onto, make a little loop on the top, and I just hook it on the snap so that it hangs down. But then you get this brown stuff all over your boat when they crack, but they really do work well. They definitely track fish the best. Yeah, give them a go if you have access to one. I wish just wish they made them stronger. So that's your lights. Your sinkers, as we talked about before, Rio, lead, steel, doesn't matter as long as it gets down there and it's not too cumbersome. So you can't go using the brick or something like that because it'll never get to the bottom. The more...
They run in the water too.
Yeah, they do.
Catch too much water.
That's correct. That's what I was saying before. So try and keep your lead as bullet projectile style as you can. Straight down there. Now, in saying that, there are guys that use like jigs or use that type of thing to go down the bottom as well, and because they go straight down. The trouble is, sinkers, sort of 1 kilo sinkers maybe around that $20 mark or $19 mark in lead. In steel, it's a lot cheaper, but in a jig, it's like about $40 or $50 so, for a 1 kilo jig. So up to you guys if you want to give that a crack, but you can use a jig on the bottom as well. So Stewie's already completed, mate? Done. So he's already completed a jig, and that's taken him about less than 15 minutes, 12 minutes I think it was. Well done, Stu. So when you get good, we'll pass that around and you can have a look. You can see how he's crimped it as well.
You can run I just run a big loop on
Thanks,
the
mate.
bottom, and then you just loop to loop with a bit of like your
100 pound,
130
yeah.
or whatever breakaway. So just loop to loop connection on the bottom, but either. You can run a little cheap swivel if you want. Yeah.
And my breakaway, I like around about 1 metre or 1.5 metres of 100 pound below my swivel at the bottom of the rig or below the loop. Reason being is I want to be able to get that fish in the boat and still have the sinker in the water, not clanging on the side of the boat or whatever. Because if you're trying to lift a decent fish in the boat and the sinker's that far away from it and it's quite heavy, it's quite hard to grab, and you'll all be excited about the fish and the sinker's belting the crap out of your boat, so you don't want to do that.
So you don't put any of the tubing and stuff on the rigs typically?
Like chafe protector tube, or it's on every swivel.
Oh, yeah, it's
But
just
not on the
clear,
hook.
Yeah.
not on the hook.
No,
on the
the hook's got to be able to
Maybe
bend
free
around.
swim.
So the idea of a circle hook is when the fish bites on it, it pivots around and hooks them in the side of the mouth pretty well.
Yeah.
it's very hard, although hooks do fall out of fish and get them on the deck, okay? But generally speaking, as long as there's weight on it the whole time, they don't fall out of their mouths. They just don't fall out.
Circles usually get them right at the corners.
Yeah, corner of the mouth, correct, mate. Exactly right. So, okay, the next thing from the swivel above is the wind-on leader. We spoke about that earlier. So the wind-on leaders, if you're fishing in Pearlies country or maybe even out in Flamies, 100 pounds generally enough, or 150. If I'm fishing for blue eye or fishing for bass groper, I'm using up to about 300 pounds. Okay, just if you get a couple of 60 kilo cod on, you want something you can grab and pull to the boat, because I'll pop up at the back of the boat. And you don't want to use electric too much because they'll spin on top of the surface and maybe pop off. So you sort of hand pull them in. Okay. Has anyone had that experience of catching a big cod yet where they pop to the surface? Yeah, so they'll pop they're generally about 80 metres deep. Down, if you're in say 300 metres and you get a cod on, a big one, they pull really hard at the start, especially bass groper. They pull really, really hard, especially on jiglets too, he's had before. And but when you crack them off the bottom and then they'll still fight, and then about 80 metres they get barotrauma and they just, all of a sudden the reel that's struggling to bring them up, all of a sudden it just starts winding really fast because it's got a sensor on it, knows there's less weight, so it speeds up itself. And then next minute this fish will come shooting out like a submarine coming out of water, 80 metres back behind the back of the boat, okay, or 60 metres back. It'll be in the current, you're drifting this way, and it'll just be on the surface, and just slowly wind it up, change your speed down on your reel, and just edge it forward, or you can pull it in by hand once you get to the wind-on leader. Okay. These big fish are quite heavy, so if you haven't got a door in the back of the boat, you'll need to lift it out of the side. So just use a decent gaff that's not too long, and you can still actually pull on it to lift them up, and you might get your mate to help you, but you have to wear a glove. I don't think you might not have gloves in there tonight, but use a glove, and any cod, if you put your hand down in the side there, it's going to get stuck in there badly. You've got these little barb things or big barb things that just impale you, and you can't do anything bar try and cut your hand out. Serious. And it'll be damaged for a while. Takes about a month to heal. Done it a few times. As stupid as it may seem, I still keep doing it. And especially, you get excited and you get like this about 70 kilo cod, you want to get a photo holding up like this. The first thing is put your hand in the gills and you go, oh gosh, quick take photo. And then it's like, get it off me. Because your hands are stuck in there. And they have a tendency, even though they're dead, and eyes hanging out of their head, they take that one last breath, and that's when it clamps onto you. The gills go like that, and that's like, you think it's dead, but it's not dead. Well, maybe nerves. Anyhow, any questions on that at all? So we've done the rigs, okay, all good? Everyone's good? Cool. Stu, anything to add to that, mate? Oh,
No, I don't think so.
one thing I will add, Stu, is I sometimes do something different. I run like a strip of a big slimy or whatever it might be, and I'll just put a little bit of 100-pound leader about this long with a loop on it, and I'll run that off my snap as well, okay? And these sort of things, I reckon they work, well, I know they work pretty good. And you just run that off the top, and it sort of just flutters on the top, right up high in the spectrum, and the cod and flamies, everything seems to like them. The other thing too, guys, is those hooks that you've got on those 2 hook rigs you got there, you can get single hooks as well. I think you might have one of those in your box too. So the single hook rigs are like a dressed hook, so you can use these sort of hooks on and make up your rigs, if that makes sense. And they come from 8 O's up to 11 O's. And they work out, the reasonable price, they work out like $3.50 a hook dressed. But when you put them on a rig, they look really cool and definitely work better. I think that's about it and all that sort of stuff, Stu.
Yep.
Okay, so now we've got our rods, we've got our reels. We haven't done the jigging part yet, but we'll just do that at the moment. And we've got our baits cut up. You know how to put your bait on. Now, when you locate the fish on your sounder, it's important to understand to do a blind drift and to understand how far you drift in the period it's going to take you to get to the bottom. Does that make sense? So if you're fishing in, say, 350 metres and it's going to take you around 5 minutes with a 2 kilo lead to get to the bottom, say 4 or 5 minutes, then you need to allow that, see how far you drift in 4 or 5 minutes. So you do that before you actually drop your line. As much as it looks really good, you've found these fish on the sound and it looks great, But if you drop your line down like that and the current's ripping, or maybe the current's going against the wind and actually going the wrong way, then you're just blowing that 20 minutes it takes to bring your line back up and whatever. So just for 5 minutes, just see how far you drift. Put it neutral, cut up your baits, get your gear ready, bait up your lines, look at the sounder, zoom in on your plotter and say, okay, I've drifted that way, even though the wind's blowing that way, I've drifted that way. So then go that way over your fish and go up past the fish a little bit. And okay, you drifted 400 metres in the last 5 minutes, so I need to overshoot it by 400 metres in that direction, past the fish. And then I'm going to drop my line, and then hopefully my line hits the bottom right where the fish is here. And that's what you want. And then at that point, if you're drifting, say at 2 knots, a little bit of wind blowing, and your lines are hanging, obviously the boat's getting blown that way, your line's at the back that way, northeast to blowing, whatever, you'll need to then, if my line sort of got out a little bit, once I'm near the bottom, I actually watch my depth counter on the screen. They're fairly accurate. And if it says I'm in 320 metres and my depth's saying 280, at that point, I don't know about my mates that are over there, but I'm driving. So I'll back up and I'll back up and back up and back up, and it just free falls the last 30 metres. And my line's then vertical, okay? Or I've gone past it a little bit. So my line's actually forward of the boat, maybe by looking like that, looks like about 1 metre forward on the water line, which is probably a fair way forward, maybe 60 metres down the bottom. And then I'll pull it back to neutral, and it's got a little bit of play time for the fish to jump on there. They love that slack line, as you'll know. So it's really important that you get to learn to do that. So if you get a bite straight away and you get a fish, then obviously pull it up. And if you don't get a bite, or you get one bite, you miss it, and your line's still got bait on there, and you're drifting, and all of a sudden the lines go out a bit again, just look at your sound, look at your GPS, know where you're going up to the next spot. And then if your spot's still a little bit in front of you, I'll sacrifice my line. I won't leave my line out. I'll leave it drifting off the bottom, because I know there's not much between that spot and the next spot 100 metres in front of me. Then as I get closer to that spot, then my line's now that far behind the boat. I hate that, but I'm not going to get fish. But at that point there, I see fish start to come to the sounder, I'll start backing up and my line will come down like that. And again, I'm right on the zone again. And boom, 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 again. Does that make sense? Do you all do that way? If you don't, you should. Yeah, try it, okay? It's the secret. And definitely works. And you just keep doing that in your drift. And you may do a drift that way. And by the second drift, if you don't get as many fish as the first drift, just go and have a little look 60 metres to the left of it and do another run down that side. And you might find the fish have moved over there, or that's where they are. Or go to the right side of it. Next time, go up around that side of it and see what's on the bottom. You might find a good school of fish, mark it, and then do exactly the same line up and then drift down that side over there. You need to really have, like my spots are just like a road map. So many lines on there. And keep all your plot trails. It's really important you keep your plot trails on your screen. I know it's messy. If you want to change, if it's confusing, change the colour. So leave the old one on there and change the new one from blue to red or something. And you can see where you are on that day. And you'll know, you get used to, like I said before, you get used to the wind. So if you're drifting that way in a northerly, and seems to be the way the current's always going, you'll see that day you went from that end to that end. So you keep using that as your next drift. But if you go out the next time the wind's blowing northwest and you're going to go that way, oh, hang on, I've done that drift before. There's my other lines when I was in that sort of wind another time. So then you go around that way and do the drift. And you end up working out, no matter what time you go or what wind is blowing, you just go straight from A to B. Simple as that. You know where to drop your line and where to pull up and go back up again. Because time is the essence, and when you're deep dropping, you don't have the luxury of dropping down and pulling back up a couple of minutes later. It's about a half-hour episode at least. If you get fish on, it can be 40 minutes by the time you drop down to the time you pull the fish up. And there's only X amount of hours in a day. Yeah, there's only X amount of hours in a day. So if you got 20 drop-ins in a big day out, you're doing really well. And that's from 6 till 5, so for 10 hours. It just doesn't happen that quick. By that time, it should be full. Unless they aren't biting and you're trying everywhere, which sometimes we do. Sometimes they just don't want to bite, and that's just the way it is. Fish on the bottom out there are very, very influenced by moonrise and by tide changes. Particularly, I like 2 hours after high tide, so whatever time of the day that is. And definitely moonrise, they come on the bite. I don't know how they know that deep down, but they do. They really do. So remember that too. Look at that in your equation.
So, you mean like moonrise?
Yeah, moonrise on the horizon. So if it's coming up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, guaranteed they'll come to the bite, mate, at that time.
What about night?
Okay, good question. We've done a couple of nights out there, like up till 7 at night. And we've done really well on the flamies. I bagged out between, say, 5 and 6. It's getting dark in winter. It is dark. Whales are a problem come back at night time in winter because winter's their main fishing out there. And it's always a bit scary because there's just too many whales these days, you know. And when you've got to come back 70 k's down the whale highway, it's guaranteed something might happen. You know, if you've got a moonlight night, you still got to have your eyes peeled and you got to travel slower, so it's a long trip back. Daylight's always better. But we have done it. We've done it just to see if the fish bite is better. It is definitely better on the flamies and stuff like that. Cod, didn't make much difference. If anything, I don't think I've caught a cod in the dark out there yet. But definitely flamies and stuff
So
like that.
cod like better at first up in the morning?
They do bite very well first up in the morning, definitely.
Like
And
first
so,
up daybreak sort of thing?
yeah, you're travelling out in the dark on the way out the Wales. Not this time of the year. This time of the year is fine. You can actually go out at 2 o'clock in the morning if you wanted to. You'd be lucky to see a whale, but then just be careful don't hit something. It might suggest if you're going to get in the dark or come back in the dark is always wear a life jacket or wear an inflatable or something like that. And someone has to be not drunk and keep their eyes peeled for something on the horizon. So, because normally in the day you want to have beer on the way back. And you need to be observant, very observant, because there's things floating all the time. Particularly in about 2 months' time, like I find around that sort of February, March is the best time for trying to look for things with dolphin fish because it always get like floods up north, and a lot of big trees or whatever might be floating down. You've got to be careful of that sort of stuff. Okay. You know, for the amount of boats that go down the coast, I mean, flybridge boats, which isn't many, a lot get hit things and get sunk. So maybe, I don't know, I'd say the statistics would be less than 100, 1 in 100. So it's pretty high risk. And it's always at night, heading down to Sydney or heading up to Early Beach or something in the dark at speed. Slow's all right, he's going to bump off it. But when he's doing 20 knots, it's not good.
Enough dodging tinnies in
Seaway, yeah, or in the bay, yeah, mate, yeah.
No lights on,
Yeah. So if you do that in the reversing and get it right, then that's really good. Does everyone understand? Let me draw it, or you understand what I'm sort of trying to say? Okay. I'll just grab that sheet and I'll give you something what I mean by marks. So, thanks, Stu. Look, I'm not really good at Moreton Island in GPS marks, but from North Straddie down, I'm quite good. So that's Moreton, that's North Straddie, South Straddie, Burleigh Heads, Tweed Heads, okay? And Brunswick's down here somewhere. And the latitude is like that south 27, I think it's about 23 at Point Lookout. Jumping pin south about 27.43. Seaway's 27, so it should be up higher. So what I'm getting at is if you look at the marks I've given you, they'll give you some reference to where you are. Seaway's 27.56. Burleigh's 28.06. And Tweed Heads is 28, that's about 09 I think, or 10, around about 10. So if we look at the south mark, so 27.35, so we're more than halfway out in Australia, okay? And 153.43, so I haven't talked about the longitude yet, but in the longitude, say, let's change colour for a sec. Say that's 100 metres deep, and that's 250, and then we got 350, and then we got around about 500 metres deep down there. This one's about 153, depends where you are, but on average about 153.43. That's 100 metres. This one's 250, 350, and 500 over there on the rods. This one here is about 153.52 or 53. 350 metres is about 153.58, and 500 metres is about 154.02. And about, depends where you are, because we're at a bit of a curve here, right? So they don't go straight, they sort of go a little bit curved. Does that make sense? So if you're at 27.35, you're halfway up North Stratty, and 153.43, we're on 100 on the 100 metre line. If we go down to the 350 metre one.
No, those ones under 150 metres.
Yep.
If they're holding pearlies, and that they're going to have kingies.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Everything. So your kingies, your pearlies, as I said, I haven't caught many pearlies over about 160 metres or 180 metres. They tend to be really prolific around 90 to 130 metres. That seems to be the happy area. We get the bigger ones.
All my biggest kingies and amberjack have been using pearlies as liveys.
Oh. Yep. 38 centimetre ones. So no, you're right. But guys, the snapper and the kingies are really prolific out to about 300 metres or 280 metres. Okay, that's you're getting the same fish. The kingfish that you catch in the deeper the water in 200 metres, 280, they are so nice. They're very fatty. So if you're into sashimi, the best kingies come from the deep water. Okay, they're a bit like the Japanese hiramasa. They're shorter and fatter and fattier, but they fight like crazy, and they're very easy to jig out in 280 metres.
Did you get most of your flamies sort of more and more?
Okay, flamies, good question. So they tend to be all this. I could change to one more colour. A red one here, Stewie. Here we go, buddy. The flamies tend to be off Moreton. They're everywhere in that this area here, around that sort of 280 metre mark, off Moreton. Okay, and they go all the way down to about just north of Jumping Pin. And then I haven't found many flamies till I get down to Tweed, where they're off Tweed. Again, same depth, same everything. And they're all the way down to Byron and beyond. But between just north of Jumping Pin and, say, off Kira, I've never caught a flamey yet. And I know how to catch flamies. Has anyone ever caught a flamey in that area before? If you do, share your mark now, please.
There's not a lot of structure out there.
No, there's not. There is. I don't know if you guys have seen on obviously. Before I go a bit further, if you haven't already got it, put this on your phone. It's Navionics. Navionics boating. Okay, it's about $40 a year. The best investment you ever do in your life. Especially if you're going in mates' boats, you can see all these marks. Okay, it's the best thing. Has anyone not got that on their phone? Okay, definitely put it on, mate. It has. Sorry.
I've got a Bathy Maps.
Oh, Bathy Maps are very good too. Bathy Maps very good.
Can you show me how it is?
Yeah, I can give. I'll have a look tonight, Dave. Yeah.
It's just
Stewie's good at that, I think.
I haven't used Bathy.
Oh, have you? It's not as good as Navionics, unfortunately. It's not too bad. I used to use it back in the day.
It's a
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
give you three different marks.
Oh, right, okay.
One hit.
Oh,
I don't
right.
know which one is.
Yeah,
On
the numbers are different, right?
Totally different.
Yeah,
thing.
totally different. Yeah.
And,
Navionics is better.
and another one is a normal one, Bathy Maps.
Yep.
When I put the mark on my GPS, it's not there. It's 10 miles on the south.
Oh, true.
What
Okay,
is
we're
this?
going to go Navionics for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be good.
And the sonar charts.
And the sonar charts. So that's exactly right. So Navionics has the release shading on it.
I found
So-
Bathy was
Yes.
Chasing, wonky holes and shit.
Oh, okay,
Reds
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. Up
Yeah.
north.
Because you can
Exactly
put that,
right.
that
Yeah.
or whatever it is,
Yeah,
the lines on there.
yeah. It's a little bit different scale, scaling on it. So it actually shows like the wonky holes and stuff.
There's a setting on it that puts the really old, like where it predicts where the waterways would have been.
Oh, okay, like the old riverbeds and stuff. Yeah,
you can
right.
chase those.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, Navionics does that too. So Navionics release shading, you'll see every little old gorge and whatever it might be. So before that, we only had sonar chart. We had just lines, tight gradients, and we didn't know there was that much reef out there. When Navionics came out about 2 or 3 years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. All these spots we've been driving over for years, thinking there was nothing there, because the sonar chart just showed nothing changing. All of a sudden there's like dips and gullies at 30 metres deep and ledges and whatever, and obviously lots of fish on them, of course. So I always, my wife always wondering what I'm doing, but I always my phone at night and I scroll, because if you scroll in on less than 200 metres, if anyone's silly enough to leave their community edits open, their mark will come up on there for a start, so you can then get their mark and put a like on it. But you'll also zoom in enough to be able to see the bottom in full detail at that size and see everything. So I'll just go scrolling and scrolling, and when I find something, then I'll look around it, and mark it. Unfortunately, mine ran out of icons, so I don't get to take photos when I'm out there. But that's the beauty of it too. You can take a photo. So you can take a photo of someone holding fish up, and it'll record everything for you. Plus, put a little camera icon on the screen. The next time you go out there, you just click on, exactly what happened on that day. So it's really good. You can have saved track marks as well. So if you're out in your mate's boat all day, you just put the tracker on and just hope you don't run out of battery, and just record the whole day. Not that I do that, but my mates do it to me. Navionics is the go. And as we were saying earlier, the relief shading is incredible. So anything that shows from blue to a black hole, black holes are the cod holes, okay? And flame snappers and everything else that goes with it.
Is that going to be the same on the Simrad where it comes up when you've got that?
Correct. It's just, yeah, so Navionics and Simrad are use the same system. What did they share with? It was Navionics shared with
Garmin, I think.
Garmin, yeah, that's right, yeah. So they sort of amalgamated a little bit and shared all their information. CMAP was part of Garmin. It used to be Garmin, so now they all amalgamated, mate. So you combine all this usage of people's maps and 3D mapping over the last 10 years or so. Simrad, yeah, Lawrence and Simrad, same company. Yeah, and they share the same chart as Garmin, which is Navionics, or CMAP. It's nearly the same thing. Yeah, but using the same framework. It's incredibly good.
So those are sort of holes you're talking about on the Navionics.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That's it, my friend. Yeah. So
That's
so
up
just
lookout.
borrow it for 1
dirt.
sec. Yeah, that's up lookout way. So we just zoom in and just start up there, mate, and hopefully drift down through it, But guys, there's a lot of areas that have got like these tractor marks on them. Looks like someone's going with a bulldozer back in the day. That was about 2 miles across. Sorry, mate?
It's a survey.
Yeah, survey thing. It's a survey thing, but believe it or not, there's a couple that run down from I think it's about halfway down North Stradey down to about Jumping Pin Bar, but out in 300 metres, so 320 metres deep, and it looks like a big tractor top mark, and it is rough as crap. So you go either side of it, sand. You go over this tractor mark and the bulldozer mark, and you get snagged up like crazy with a lot of bar cod.
So are you seeing all the fish on your sounder?
Yeah, 100%. So this is the other thing, sounders, get a sounder to reach down that deep. So if you've got 600 watts, you'll probably, which is standard type transducer, you'll probably drop out at about, in top to bottom, around about 220, 240 metres. In zooming in, probably at only about 150 metres. They don't zoom in very good. So I'll show a little faint line for the bottom, but once you want to zoom in, you just don't get it. You'll need to go 1 kilowatt, and you need to go to high-low frequency. Don't ever go HW, high-wide. That's only good for if you're marlin fishing, that's okay. But if you're want a deep drop, useless. So you've got to be 1 kilowatt high-low frequency, okay? Which is, I think, a 265 or 275?
275.
275
Yep.
AMR transducer about the size of a house brick.
It's a brick.
Correct. Yeah, big. Yeah. So if you've got it, I used to have one on the back of my Haynes, and but I was lucky I had a pod at the back and sat underneath the pod because it'll make a big rooster tail. So it's just a spray up underneath. But otherwise you put a fairing on it. Mine's just sitting like my normal transducers are sitting down with the boat's on a bit of an angle. So the bottom corners may be quite low, but the top part's sort of just above the bottom of the boat, if that makes sense? Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of tend to find it doesn't like going very fast.
Yeah, so is it a Simrad or Lowrance that you're running? Or?
Yeah, Simrad with
Simrad. Yeah, no, it should work well.
Have you got anything in front of it, like a skin fit in or a strake or anything?
No, it's just on the edge of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably drop it down a bit lower maybe. If it's a bit too high, it'll be getting too much air or something like
Yeah, it tends to, it's.
that. Yeah. Yeah, so
If you're moving, if you sort of do it quite onto, so it's
yeah,
fine.
no, you should be when they're mounted perfectly, and include my old boat, I can be doing 20 knots in 400 metres, zoomed into the bottom 20 metres and see like the broadwater.
It starts to drop out at about 40 knots as well.
Oh, 40 knots it will.
One drops out of it.
4 knots, that's right. Yeah, that's warranted, that's okay. Can't do anything there, sir. But no, so you've got to mount it, just drop it down a bit more if it's not getting a good bottom, clear bottom. So you need to go 1 kilowatt. But, sorry?
It's just kilometres of terrain, isn't it?
Oh, there's heaps of terrain at the moment. So guys, you need to, if your sounder can't do it, like if I wish I had that back in the day, because we did so many miles trying to find bottom, not knowing where we were going. Didn't have my sounder used to mould through and it couldn't make it down the bottom. And it dropped out about 280 metres. But now you really don't need a sounder, you just use that. And it's that good, it's that close. Yeah. The beauty of sounders is once you've got your sounder dialed in, you can pick up the bottom at speed at 20 knots, whatever, and have it zoomed into, say, 30 metre window. So I run my window at about 30 metres off the bottom, the whole screen. And because sometimes the fish are 30 metres up, especially flamies, and you could be doing that and you'll just see the cluster of fish at speed and go around, back around, do a loop over it. If you don't have the sounder, you just got that. Obviously, you don't get that luxury of seeing fish that are maybe driving on top of, because you can't see, there might not be much at the bottom. Some of the bottom guys is like fern, or it might be small rubble. So you don't actually see it on the charts, but it's actually there though. Okay.
But do you find the fish tend to fairly reliably stay in the same sort of area and terrain?
100%,
or-
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be there year on year.
Yeah.
Come back. They'll disappear a little bit, but they'll come back in season. Yeah. So any questions on these marks? So these marks, guys, just so you know, the under 150 metre marks predominantly pearly, sorry. The under 350 metres is predominantly flame snapper, bar cod, kingies, snapper, and some pearlies that are a bit deeper. The under 600 metre ones is the ones that are sort of between 350 and 500, 550. They're going to be your blue-eyed trevally, bar cod, bass scraper. And most of these marks, as you can see, are quite aggressively distanced apart. So the people up north, you've got marks that are sort of off South Passage or off Point Lookout. And if you're down off Tweed End, you've got marks that go down as far as Byron Bay. Okay, so you've got a lot of marks in between. It's up to you guys which ones you want to try. Okay. The over 600 metre one, they're predominantly off. The one thing we are unique off Jumping Pin, where that big gap is here, is out here, you have more than what they have there. So we have like, I don't know if they're asteroids or what they are, but there's 3 big rocks.
Like James Mountain and all that.
Yeah. There's 3 big rocks just sitting on the bottom, which I can't see anywhere else on our coastline. and it's off the Gold Coast, off Jumping Pin. One's what called Riviera Grounds, the other one's Jim's Mountain, and the other one's Mix Mountain. And there's big Riviera Grounds, or something they call it. It's a little bit to the southeast. But they're unique. They're just a boulder on the bottom. There's no structure around it. It's just sand. And these things are about the size of Ayers Rock. They're maybe 2 k's or 1 k long, half a k wide, and around about 150 metres high.
Looks like that was there.
That one might be one there, I'm not sure.
There's another one a bit further out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the that's in, yeah, correct. And they're unearthed around the outside edges of it, so just like the currents obviously
I roaded it.
road away, yeah, that's right. And the fishing is unique. They're just like boulders that landed on the bottom, sort of thing.
And what's out there, like the
Blue eye bass scraper, bar cod. Yeah.
Fair run out there, but
That's all for us. That's the close grounds.
what's that, 70 nautical miles?
No, it's only 58 k's
I like
to
it.
reef grounds. Yeah. So it's 42 k's, 43 k's to 50 fathom reef, and it's only another 15 k, and you're out in 500 metres deep. Okay.
And do the fish tend to congregate on the pressure points?
Yeah, they do. So some days, if you've got current ripping, you got to go up the front end. But I've caught them all the way down actually. But if there's no current, you just got to try and find where they are on the day that I think they swim. I think they swim round and around it.
Yeah.
They're quite, as I said, it's quite big, so they're unique. Where if you go off Point Lookout or down Tweed, you got canyons. They're like real canyons.
And you tend to fish the edges of that?
Fishing on the slope down. So if I go down Tweed Heads or up off Point Lookout, and the same off Moreton, guys, those who got Moreton Way, you start at about 300 metres, you get your bar cod and your flamies. And then once I do my next drift, I might do the same drift again because I've done quite well. Or I'll go to about 380, which is only like another 300 metres further out. And then I'll do that depth. And then I might do one in 500, and I'm pretty well get my blue eye out in the deep water, or my bass scraper. So I sort of start at bar cod and flamies and then work my way deeper. Yeah. So
It's a good way to do it because then you can sort of gauge the current by the time you get out in the water, where it's more important.
yeah.
Then you know what you're doing, you know what the current's doing, you know what the boat's doing.
But it's sometimes it's saying that the current can be, you could be in on, you might stop at 50 fathoms on the way out. I would not be going straight to the spot while the weather's good. But if the weather's going to drop out later in the day, we might start in 100 metres and get some pearlies, whatever. That's how we sort of work it. Depends on the day. But the current could be doing like 2.5 knots and you're thinking it's going to be crap out wide. But you get out wide, there's nothing. It's like half a knot and flatter. That's right, yeah, exactly. So don't be mistaken by in good here, bad there, good out there sort of thing, you know. So it's worth sometimes just doing the drive out. If you fish, how many guys fish down Tweed Way at all? No one? Okay, if you're down Tweed Way there, it's very, very good down there because it sort of drops off even more quicker. So their 50 fathoms is only about 25 k's out, and their 300 metres is about 40 k's out, like us going at the 50s here. And then from when you're fishing in like 250, 300 metres, and you don't even go like 500 metres in 600. It's very aggressive.
Looks quite gnarly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Is it
very gnarly.
standard?
It is. Lead sinkers I go.
It's
It's quite
Come
gnarly.
back to Doug. No, it's
Yeah.
please, mate.
Sorry, Dave.
28, that's the tweet, is it?
28 Tweed, 2810 actually. So 2814, 16, 21. That 2814 is about off sort of probably Hastings Point maybe. Oh, not that far down. Probably, just sort of just south of Tweed. 2821 is about off, about probably south of Cabarete or further down Hastings Point maybe. And I think 28 is nearly getting down towards Brunswick. Yeah, really good fish down there. You see a lot of people down there in little 14-foot boats. It does my head in. And they're,
Fished with 4 years ago.
oh, did you? Yeah.
Just big bass grower.
Big bass crabber, yeah, that's right. Yeah, lots of big cod down there. Yeah, it's really good.
Not cod, just groper and
Oh, bass crabber, yeah.
blue eye.
Yeah, blue eye, yeah.
And
Nothing wrong with that.
And mussel.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 fish and
So if you go to Tweed Heads, you need to have a New South Wales licence, guys. But if your boat's towable and the swell's not too bad, I would definitely suggest tow it down to Tweed and go out because it's just very close. And you've got such good grounds down there and
They're
such
gonna
good
pull you
fishing.
up out there, New South Wales.
Oh, they do. I've had them. They're like commandos down there. They wear those big rubber ducks. They're all wearing black suits and like ninja heads. Serious, I'm serious. They just jump on your boat like you're drug runner, you know. They do. They love it.
course up in Moreton Bay a few weeks ago.
Did they?
Yep.
In the black suits?
Yep. So
Mm.
the big
I think they just get
black
off on it. I
ribbon
don't know.
and going through the boat, everyone's boat, all the safety gear and all.
Yeah. They do that. So yeah, down off Tweed, they do. They'll come out to 300, 400 metres deep.
And they'll hang you if you haven't got a New South Wales.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So
It's-
if in
it's-
the water, like in the water, say you left from the, went down there,
Yep,
and you're out, you still have to have a license.
100%. Yeah.
He just pleads the fifth.
There's a
I'm
lot
not sure I'm still in
there's a line
Queensland,
that
so-
goes straight out, 200 miles out, and you cross it.
Well, actually, it goes on an angle from the Tweed Bar up. So if you're off surface in about 200 metres, you're in New South Wales waters. Yeah, it's about $80 for 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
It's not too bad at all. Hey guys, just be careful on that too. If you go get a New South Wales licence, my mate got done the other, I didn't get done, but I don't know how it works. But he booked it through what he thought was the New South Wales Fisheries, but it was actually like a third party. So they still give you your licence, but they charge you like $50, $80 for doing the service. And he's like, he got the bill of his $80 licence become 135 or something. So just be careful of that one. But yeah, so get yourself a licence. It's 3 years and it's quite good. Kids under 16, I think, are free. Or under 18.
16.
16, is it? Yeah, 16. Yeah, sorry now. Getting back to this. So guys, any questions on the gear so far? Everyone's up to date? Yep, cool. Okay, other tools you need a big fillet knife. It has to be around about 9 inch. Okay? If you get, the cods are big. And if you've got a little tiny 6-inch fillet knife, it doesn't work too good. And to fillet a big cod takes a long time. It's a monumental effort. But the food's so good. The bar cod is so nice to eat. And bass grub is even nicer, I think. And blue eye's not too bad as well. And flamey's perfect, you know. But you want about probably an 8 or 9 inch fillet knife, okay? What else do you need? That's probably about it. But what I suggest is once you fillet the fish is to leave it. I don't like to leave mine sitting in an ice bag like some people do for 3 days. I believe it's better to fillet it and then the fluid comes out a lot better out of the flesh. So if you catch a fish that day, you get home, you want to cook up nice and fresh, nice cod. Looks good, but as you cook it, it just keeps letting out water and fluid, and it boils. It can't actually cook in the oil. Actually, it'll start spitting all over you. So you have to let it sit in a tray, lad wrapped on top, whatever, or just some soft paper on top, and let it sit for about 2 days or 3 days. And the fluid will be enhanced, like it'll be from no fluid to maybe sitting under an inch of fluid in the tray. Yeah, and then it's ready to freeze or ready to eat or cryovac, whatever you want to do.
We normally leave them in the ice slurry for like till the next afternoon. at least.
Yeah, you can do that. You can
Just
do.
because it's easier to fill it.
Oh, it is easy to fill if they get the slime. Oh, that's right. So that's the other thing too. You want, I have a towel. I just towel them all down because you try to fill it and they slide off, and it's quite dangerous with a sharp knife. Yeah, you nearly need to drive a nail through their tail and do it that way, you know. Yeah, it might work. Yeah, just be careful.
Easier after like the
Yeah.
next day.
Yeah, you can.
They wash off
I-
of it, and then it's not as slimy.
To be honest, I do leave it overnight because I never have time. I'm always too tired to fill the fish that night. And then I'll take them in my bag the next day. Then I fill them. Then I still let them sit for another 2 days. Yeah, give that a crack. Okay, I think that's about all I need to tell you on that. The marks, you guys got to put them all into your GPS, and then you'll know where you are. I've got all your numbers, so I've got another list which I sent out to some people last time. How many people from Brisbane way here? Quite a few of you. Okay, most of you. So what I'll do, I'll send that same sheet that I used on the last lot of people to you guys. I'll send it to everyone else. For those of you guys that from the Gold Coast, you'll still get it, right? But it'll go as far as about, not quite as far as Mooloolaba, but up that way, then back down to about halfway down Moreton. And actually there's a few marks down South Passage as well. And a few of the guys that from the last seminar did really well on some of those marks, so give them a crack. But if you're down our way, give those a crack. And actually, it's such a long way to South Passage, right? But once you get there, it's only about 20 k's from South Passage to get out to these grounds. It's not that far. Okay, Stewie's going to talk just a real quick about jigs. So Stewie loves jigging, but it is hard work.
It is hard work. Yeah, you don't have to be strong to do it, but it's just hard work. But we fish
maybe
pretty light.
simple, as in simple to. So
The biggest thing is the reel. Like I just use an Osha jigger. This is a 4,000 size. It doesn't have to be this big. It doesn't have to be this strong. The biggest thing is line capacity. So minimum 400 meters if you're going to say fish up to 300 meters. You want to have a little bit of line left over on your reel just in case something does happen. But on my one, this is your one, isn't it? Yeah. So on my one, I've got 900 meters of PE3. So I know that I can fish 450 pretty comfortably. If I do get busted off, I can still fish 300 on the way home. I've got enough line. Instead of taking spare stuff out there, it's a long way. You don't want to come back. I've got a pretty similar rod to this. This one's a twisted one. Mine was just straight over the head. But they're quite slow in taper. So they're not really stiff. They're not really fast. Biggest thing is if it's too stiff and too fast, it's just too hard on you. It doesn't work the jig as good. This way you don't have to do much of this jigging. It's more of a handle turn. The rod's going to load up and then spring the jig. Other than that, leader size, like we've got some customers that jig a lot and they use a 130 pound leader as well. If you do get bass and stuff like that, because they're raked and stuff like that, hence that heavy leader. But I'll just fish 60 pound leader. You're using PE3, which is about that 60 pound braid anyway. So everything's a bit thinner, better for line drag, and everything's going to sink a lot more natural and faster.
line drag's so important. I can't emphasise enough, including your baits, your rigs, your sinkers, the whole lot. It's the more you can get it down quicker, the better the whole system works.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you need to back up the boat to help it out as well.
Yeah, it's very hard to fish trying to jig while people are deep dropping off their back with electrics because everything's got different sink rates. So you nearly need to say
one or the
everyone's
other.
jigging
Yeah.
or everyone's doing that
Yeah.
because you get tangles and your jig always flows under the boat somehow. Even if you pitch it out to the side, it ends up the other side and it gets tangled. And
But what you can do,
It's a
Stuart,
drama.
what you can do, mate, is you can jig with an electric at the
yeah,
same
this
time
is,
as
this
jigging
is
by
very,
hand.
This is very you.
That's me.
This is not me.
Well, I haven't not yet. It isn't, but I'm about to maybe get one. So
Yeah.
same deal. It's a jig rod, same scenario. When we're jigging out there, we're not actually going quite fast like we do for kingies. It's quite just gentleman's jigging. Just lift it up and drop it back down,
It's more like teabagging.
and lift it
Yeah.
up and drop it back down. And next minute, just whack, and you're on, and the rod will just go, and it's on. But you've got to get them off the bottom, and I think with electric, you still have to fight it the first maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It takes about up to 20 minutes to turn a bass scraper off the bottom, doesn't it?
Yeah, it took me half an hour to turn that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it depends on the day. But you're talking like 60 kilo fish, they're big fish. And once you get it off the bottom, you just push the button and put the rod hold and let it do its thing. Set the drag. But Stu will be fighting over the other side there.
Yeah, just a real quick one, but if you are going to put a rod like that in the rod holder, you've
Yeah,
got to be
it-
very careful.
it doesn't
so
break.
it's exposed
Yeah.
butt, it's going to ding it, it's going to break. Simple as that.
But we do.
They're not designed for it, but we do sell a little
Yeah,
patch
it's
that
a
goes
little
over
patch
it.
that
Yeah.
goes over it, so it doesn't
It's
do it.
better.
You have to.
I'd
have
just
it.
hold on to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're already half cheating, so
that's true.
yeah. But
With
yeah,
deep jig, do you slow pitch?
slow pitch, yeah.
All slow pitch,
Yeah.
so no fast jigging, mate.
Yeah.
And just lift and drop back down. It's like teabagging. And we've tried different techniques.
Yeah.
That's the best. The boringest, but the best.
Yeah.
Most boring, but the best.
You
yeah.
find you catch more little stuff if you try to really fast fish it.
So
Yeah.
on your jig, how many hooks do you
Still just go, 2 up the top, 2 on the bottom. So
Yeah.
4 hooks.
So
yeah.
because you're slow pitching, it doesn't hook up on the top. When you do fast jigging, obviously it gets hooked up, so you can't run them on the bottom. But this way, you're doing it top and bottom, yeah.
I want as many hooks in that thing when I hook it as possible. Yeah, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom.
And they
Doesn't
do.
matter.
They normally hook up in the mouth
Yeah.
and on the side of the cheek.
You pull
as
them up
well.
a bit
Yeah.
funny sometimes,
Yeah.
but you just want hooks in them.
But you can use that style, which is like just that's actually still 500 grams, I think. Oh, 750.
750, yeah.
Very short style. And that'll work fine too. That's got twin assist at the top, but you might run twin at the bottom as well.
How many pounds of delay on that?
I just use 60.
60, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 80
But-
max, but it's got to be thin, again, the drag.
yeah.
And it can't be too long. You know,
But
maybe
if you're just jigging 4 bass
2
and
metres.
stuff
long.
like that in, say, that 500 metres, I would fish heavier. Yeah. I'd still fish 60, but it's better if you fish
Yeah,
heavier.
I got P4 on that
Yeah.
one. I've got 700 metres on there.
Yeah.
So it's 68 pounds, 60 pounds, 68 pounds.
So how long is it?
I just
I-
use a
yeah.
arms width.
Oh yeah, 2 metres or 2.5. Not too long because again it gets drag. You got to keep it short.
Yeah.
Just enough that its tail can't. And their tail's aggressively big and powerful. And if they're kicking on your line, swimming away from you, you don't want to pop your braid, you know. So it's a bit long enough. Some guys run a snap swivel on the top or a swivel on the top of their ring, just so the cod, if it spins or whatever, doesn't leverage out, if that makes sense. But you've got that many hooks in it, you don't need it. I wouldn't worry about swivel.
Yeah. Less hardware on the front's better. Yeah. Just make sure you don't tie to split rings with anything, because your leader can always twist around and get caught in that gap in it, and it just cuts on the join. So
solid ring on the split
really
ring and then
bad.
tied to the solid ring.
Yeah. The other thing is jig shape. So there's a couple different shapes getting around. Generally, that shorter, fatter profile, like where's that big one that you just had? That's more of a cod shape. You catch more cod and stuff like that on it. You won't catch too many flame snapper on a jig that shape. You catch more flame snapper on a jig that shape.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't know why, but it just seems to be what happens. Yeah. You still get a lot of cod and bass and all that stuff on that long shape, and blue eye. We've caught blue eye in 550 manual jig-ins. So
The lightest you can use, I actually used one of these in 550 metres at Jim's. That's 400 grams, and it actually got to the bottom the same time as my mate with 4 kilos of lead. Same time. But I'm using a lot lighter line than he is. And they're very easy because it's so thin, it's very easy to work in the water, you know. It's not tiring. You see hook the fish up. So that's about as light as you can use, but generally we're using around 500 to 800 grams.
yeah.
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 And sometimes a kilo if it's a bit windy. Yeah. Yep.
It's definitely not the easiest way, but it's pretty good. It's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, it's a bucket list.
Yeah,
thing.
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you hook something and your mate cuts you off and claims the fish. That's happened to me. It's done.
Yeah, Stewie spent half an hour getting the fish off the bottom, and it was a big fish, and we're all still dropping away around him. while his rod's permanent like
I
this.
hooked this thing and I've nearly locked up the reel. I'm sitting on the gun. I couldn't lift it. I only got little chicken arms, and it's going hard. And I said to everyone, wind up. You got to wind up. We're in 550 metres, and Doug's like, no, I'm still going down. I said, just wind it up. No. And anyway, I've started on this side, and I'm going around, and all I want to do is catch a bass on a jig, like a good one. And I've fought this thing for half an hour, and I've moved it 35 metres. And you can tell because it's multicolour line, each colour's 10 metres. So I've got it up 35 metres, and I said, something's just felt weird. Meanwhile, guy on the other side, Timmy, who'll probably be watching, says, I'm on. And I said, no. My line angle's like slightly to the side, and he's out that side ages. And I said, it's not good. And my fish just went for one little bit of a run, nothing, cut off. So I wound it all the way up, and the leader had been cut just above the jig by a braid, because that was all like coloured. All the dye was on it. I said, you've got green line, and I was dirty. And I said, you cut it off, Timmy, it's my fish. And he's like, no. So anyway, he's wound it up. He's like, it's not even fighting, because it started floating by the time he's cut it off. So he winds this thing up. It's like 60 kilo. It was about that big. And his hook caught my jig. And he claimed it. No, yeah, I took the jig back.
He was hooked in the mouth too by his
No,
jig.
it wasn't. It was hooked in the jig. You used to keep saying that. It was hooked in the
Do you want to see the
jig.
picture?
That was, we put them back in there for the photo. Don't even get into this. Don't even get into this. It was hooked on my jig, and that was it. It was done. This was about a year and a half ago, and it's still really bad.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah.
it was very funny.
For some. Yeah.
Stewie was peed. But yeah, Tim took all the glory, got the photos of the fish.
Yeah,
Stewie
that's right.
had to stand there and watch it all happen.
Took my jig back, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fish got two jigs out of its mouth.
Thanks for getting the jig back.
Yeah, I would have rather lose it. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyhow, but jigging's it's very good fun. It's just hard work. Okay. So, what else are we going to talk about, Stu? There is these things too, guys, and there are some guys doing this too. But again, it's like about a $50 investment, same price as a jig. But these are a kilo, so you put actually like a big slab of whatever on there, or a big slimy or small tuna for big cod. They're a kilo. There's 700 grams, 500 grams, and you'd actually run that on the bottom of your line, and then drop it down.
Or you can just fish that as it is.
Oh, if you want to use
Just
it
on
by
its own.
hand, yeah, by hand.
Oh, even on the electric.
Oh, I could use it
I'll
electric,
take
but
it
it'd be
down,
hard
yeah.
work on by hand. It's a bit of
Yeah, way too hard for hand.
a bit of clumsiness to it. But anyhow, other than that, what else going to show Stu? That's about it
That's
on
about
that
it,
end, I think.
yeah.
So for your kingies and your flamies and your flame snapper in close, we're generally running in that sort of 300 metres, like maximum about 300 grams. So fairly short, like short ones, a good chance of getting a cod as well. The biggest profile, I probably wouldn't use anything, that would be as long as I'd use in a profile, okay, for them. I think that's about it in that area. Oh, just in your, that's what, it's passes 1 a litre around too, so no, that is, I'll pass that around. On the back, I'll pass that around too. That shows you on the back how to put it on. We can teach you how to put a wind on lead if you don't know how to do it, but they are so good because the lines on your reels are a lot stronger than your braid, and once that line's on the reel, the fish are home pretty well. Okay.
So you got
Just-
your braid, your wind on leader, and then your...
That's right, so we run a little loop in the bottom of the braid, just a little bimini twist or whatever it might be, and then join the line to the loop on the wind on leader to the loop on your braid, and then it's pull through, pull up tight, and then it's 6 metres long, 100, 150 pound, whatever it might be. Put a snap saw on the end of that.
And then your rig just goes straight onto the wind on.
Onto the end of the snap, correct. And the
And your
and
line.
you set your upper limit. I set mine at about the snap hanging down about 1 metre, so that's where it always stops at that point.
How often do you have to change the wind on leader?
Unless
When you get a
you'll probably
snag,
lose
really.
it if we have to
Yeah.
change it. Yeah, so not very often. No, they're pretty good. They're very durable.
It's really hard to get the wind on.
It is very hard. Yeah, you got to actually retie your loop on the end of the braid. Yeah, retie the bimini. Yeah. So guys, just little pouch holders to put your rigs in. They're really good. Those little little sort of flap things inside to put your rigs in. Keep all your rigs in one sort of wallet so they're at home, or in your bag, in your wallet. As I was saying, S-Tackle do really good range of sinkers. They do 1, 2 and 3 kilo. Glows blue, glows green. Glow is the secret, I believe. Let's keep it all glowing. And that's probably about it, I think. That's the green colour one there. Quite good. These things are they powder coated, or they don't chip as bad
I think
as
that's powder coated.
yeah, they don't chip as bad as some other brands. Like when I'm fishing in that sort of 100, 130 metre mark, I generally try and use a bit bigger than a 16-ounce sinker or 1 pound. I use about 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds, which is that size. When you're using electric, that is. Electric, as I said, electric doesn't care about the size of the sinker, but it's a lot easier on pearlies to get straight down there. Boom, boom, boom. They love that slack line. Hook up, wind it back up again. Okay. So don't pee around with little sinkers to think you're going to get more bigger fish, float lining sort of style. They don't care. Pearlies don't care. Bucket mouse, that they are. Anyhow, this is that reel there and this reel here, which are dive. They're called Leo Brits. So some guys do use these out in 300 metres as well, because they hold 500 metres of about 70 pound braid, which is enough. And they're around about, I think around $9.95 retail.
Ish, yeah,
Around that, yeah, under $1,000. But beautiful little reel. They have a toggle switch on there for jigging as well, like a toggle switch. So you can sort of do it yourself. Wind up, drop off, wind up, drop off, and bring it up yourself using the toggle. They're quite good. And there's a better brand of that called a Seaborg, which is really good too. So Daiwa definitely do the best range of little reels. They have the best range by far. Shimano is getting their act together, hopefully next year. But this year, in the last few years, Daiwa's always had it. And the Leo Brits is such a good reel. It's for bang for buck. They're very good. Guys, just, I don't think there's any other questions. Blue light, it's up to you what you want to look at. But if you're looking for stuff, my suggestion is to use a blue light and just bring it to a shop and walk around. Find stuff that really is UV activated, and it'll enhance your fishing as well. These fellas actually have a little burn on the other end. Quite a good little tool. So if you're doing knots and stuff like that, you can actually they got like a little taser on the end there. If you can see that, and it burns the line. So you just drop the line in there and melt the end of it on any of your knots. I need that. Stewie doesn't. He does his knots pretty good. Lots of knots, I reckon, Stewie. So any questions at all, guys, on anything? Is everyone clued up?
If you were to go out for a day, how many
Yep.
spare rigs do you think you should have?
About 3, at least. And I take 2 sizes, so my one size for that area and my bigger ones, if the weather's nice, or I have an opportunity to go a bit wider, I'll use a bit heavier. Same rod and reel, just change the rig. Yeah. Yep. And I take, as I said, pilchards, mullet fills, and I'll take a bit of squid if I can chase pearlies and stuff like that. But I don't find that squid is all that good because of the green eye shark problem. Very, very annoying. Crimps, I suggest having a set of crimpers on board. They're about $35 or something for a set of crimpers, just the basic ones, and a few crimps on board your boat. And it's just a lot easier to do snap swivels. And when you're fishing this heavy stuff, it doesn't work too well with knots tied on a 200-pound line. You have to crimp it. Okay. Just keep it in a little bag of bits and pieces. I think that's about all I need to tell you. Stu, anything to add to that, mate?
Not really.
Oh, there's one thing I want to tell you about. Traditionally, and all my boats have been doing this for like a long time, we used to use Anderson plugs years ago, but Anderson plugs have a problem of the plugs, the little corrode out, those little tabs, copper tabs keep snapping off. They go green, whatever. Then we use Minn Kota plugs, and I still use Minn Kota plugs as well. So Minn Kota plugs, which is the same as using the Minn Kota motor there, they're like a male and female fitting. The female fitting goes into the boat. You can keep it up under the coaming or whatever. And so a little cap goes on it so it doesn't get water in it. There's stainless steel outside the fittings of the plastic. And the male fitting goes on the end of the power lead on your reel. And you just sort of goes through the 3 things go one way and twist it and it locks in. And the voltage draw, you don't lose anything. It's very direct through that. Where Anderson plug, you lose a bit, right? They are about $120, I think, for a plug or something like that.
Around about.
Yellow woods?
No, they're black. They're called Minn Kota plug. Is there another name, Stu? They make some in New Zealand, some American.
Yeah.
There's 2 brands,
Yeah,
of 2 types of, but they're Minn Kota plug. And they're 30 amps. So most of these reels are drawing 20 to 30 amps. They draw a fair bit of current. So if you've got too light a wire, it'll actually blow your fuse all the time, or burn your wire out. There's a lot of power in these things. I don't know how this little thing pulls up such a big fish. I can't even turn it. I can't even lift it, let alone turn it. This thing's just like a bloody crane. But then this come along. So these are a 10,000 milliamp battery, I think it is. And it just plugs into where it plugs in here on the reel. You can see it's going there. And I get about, I'll get a full day, always a full day, and I'm still about 1/3 charged. And that day is from daylight to dark. And I'll probably do 30 drops in 300 metres in a big day. And it's still full charge. The beauty is, I don't know how good it is for the reels, but the beauty is it turbocharges your reel. So when you're, if we're in 300 metres deep, my mate's plugged in with a Minn Kota plug or whichever one, and I'm plugged in with this one. So I've got no plug, it's just loose like that, right? And we've got no fish on, and we'll be same bait, same sinker, same everything, same depth. And I'll say, okay, let's go. And he push up full bore, I'll go full bore because we've got no fish on, just the baits, and a kilo of lead or 2 kilos of lead. And I'm always up around half his time it takes him to come up.
Really?
100%, guaranteed.
It's really, really quick.
Very quick. So, not that you want to do that when you've got a fish on, because you pull it out of its mouth and rip its mouth out. But for when you're just doing a pull up, it's fantastic.
I wonder why that is.
So, it allows you to get an extra probably 5 drops in a 30 drops in a day, you know? Yeah.
Battery's a battery though, how can
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's
It's just a discharge on them.
Yeah.
So a lithium battery will always discharge over 13 volts, whereas a standard lead acid or an AGM or anything,
true.
it's out around about 12.3. Yeah.
true.
and it drops out as the day goes on. Less and less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps that too. Yeah, it's just there, right? Yeah. So anyhow, they're fully waterproof. They've got a little battery test to the back. They're strapped to your rod like that underneath the rod. Go straight in the rod holder. Best thing is you get tangled up. You just grab the rods out and untangle them. Where before you got to unplug it. And more than about a minute, they drop out, and you got to then hold the button down manually to bring it back up. You know. But they're about $400, best price, $399 or something. But good investment. Okay. Is that something? Was it your stomach?
No.
Best thing, at least you can take it boat to boat to boat.
Yeah, exactly. Boat to boat,
that's
taking your
right.
mate's boat. That's it. You just grab your rod and reel. So I took it up to Big Cat Reality up at Swains this year. We fished out in 130 metres for gold band snapper and red emperors, whatever. Oh, so good. Yeah, because I just use the electric, you know. Yeah.
I'll just use that.
Yeah, you just use that. Well, I did use that for jigging too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but no, they're really good. So anyhow, something to think about on the electrics. We actually can't keep up to. We sell about
We sell a
5
lot,
to 10
yeah.
a week of
Yeah.
those things.
If you take into
and the guy
consider-
brings them in doesn't bring enough in, so
Yeah.
we've got to wait. We're actually waiting for more to turn up again now. We got a few there, but not many. Sorry.
If you take into consideration the cost it actually costs you to get a marine electrician or whatever to wire your boat, that's actually heaps cheaper.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's mobile.
Mm.
Yeah.
12-month warranty, whatever. Is there any questions you want to know about deep dropping? Anything at all, or deep jigging or anything, folks? Take it, do it now. Yes, mate.
Like how many rods are you running?
Okay, that's a really good question. It depends on the day, mate. So if we're and the boat size. So if I'm fishing out of an average 6.5, 7 metre boat, we'll run up to 4, but generally 3. 2 out of the corners, 1 down the side, whichever the side is that you're drifting on. If you run a 4th one, it needs to be nearly not much current or wind, straight down.
And all same weight?
All the same weight. Yeah, correct. And all dropping at the same time. You cannot do, and when you get a lot of current, 2's the max you can do. 2's it. Yeah, it's just too hard otherwise. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier today, if you work out your current and your drift and your windage and everything like that, that then dictates how many you can drop down. And you probably do start off with 2, and then if it's not too bad, I'd drop a 3rd one on the side maybe. And then if you have the availability of not much wind and current, I'd do the 4th one if you got your mate's got a rod, so go for it. Yeah.
It's probably like trolling with 2 metre rods.
It is a bit like trolling.
Until you build up.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, it's just more trolling.
Yeah, it's the trouble is these are all straight down together. There's no staggering the different distances. Yeah, but when they're on, like seriously, 3 is okay. But when one of my mates got a 40-foot cat, and obviously it's a wide boat, and we fish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off that, 5 electrics or 6 even. We've even done 6, and we get the odd tangle, and when it's a tangle, it's a good one. but we don't get many tangles.
Short straw, it gets cut off.
Oh yeah, most times we used to cut it and start again. Yeah. Oh, Stewie.
Normally I'm the one re-rigging.
All right, he'll be the one complaining because his fish got stolen off him again.
Happens a bit.
In
Yeah, that's
100
it.
metre of water or 100, 150,
Yep.
what size thing would you use?
At the 2 I showed earlier.
Same one?
Like you don't need that heavy, but when you use electric, it doesn't matter. So it's quicker to get down,
Doesn't
quicker to come up.
matter if it's snapper, anything.
Yeah. Oh, when I'm float line for snapper, I don't use a little ball sinker, you know.
Yeah.
But when I'm electrics, at least I use is 20 ounce in 100 metres. That's the 20. That's the 32. That's the 2 pound. And that's 24. Okay, you're right. That's a pound and a half. Yeah. So guys, any questions? So anything you want to know you've done that didn't work for you out there at all?
Everything.
Well, you just got to put those marks in, and as I said, it's the important part is to rigging up your rig first. Cut your baits not too big, mullet fillets, pilly heads. Put the pilly head on first, put the mullet on last. Work out your drift, then go up and drop your lines and do your drift, and work around those marks as well, because sometimes the fish move away a little bit. And don't be scared to overdrift sometimes, because sometimes you found a spot. It's always a bad habit. And we go straight at that spot because we know it produces, and we just do little short drifts on it. Drop down, get a fish, pull up, go back, da da da. Sometimes you might get a tangle, and which is the only time we find new spots generally. We get a tangle, and we're drifting and untangling, and as I'm untangling, I'm looking at the sound all the time. I'm like, holy crap, look at that. I look back at the GPS, and we're like 300 metres past where I always turn around and I'm back. And I straight away tink it and go back up again and drop down and start where I would normally not start, where I'd normally go, back up, and then do the drift, and we've smashed it, you know. So don't be scared to overshoot a mark, or start up even further above it. Go a bit further this time. Go past where you normally go. Yeah. as I said, if you leave those tracks on your screen, you get to really understand your area. You actually like pretty well know it backwards. Yeah, and that's all you're fishing to. Trolling, doesn't matter. Steering wheel add, mate? Okay.
No,
Oh, just one
thanks,
last
mate.
thing. This is as big as I get. Well, not as big as I get. It's only about half as big as I get. But that's the big heavy one. So that's my Mia 9. So that was actually the first electric I bought back in
Exactly what I was.
2000. Sorry?
Exactly what
Okay, you got? They're good reels, aren't they?
Oh.
These are beasts. Very expensive, but beasts. I've had this thing for nearly 20 years, about 20 years now, and I don't know how many fish it's caught. I just put another lead on because I had to sell my lead because I didn't have any leads. The guy wanted a lead, he's got away, so I sold him my lead. But this thing's caught, I don't know how many fish and how many times it's been re-spooled, but they're about on a rod, they're like nearly a 6K investment. The beauty of it is it holds 1,400 metres or 130 pound, so I can go fish beyond. But to be honest with you, we've done a couple of drops out on Mix Mountain, which comes from 1,100 up to 800. We've lost our baits, but we've never caught a fish. I have to use heavier lead out there. You need to use like 6 to 8 kilos to get it to be vertical. We've tried 4 kilos and it's just too hard. It's too deep.
So, I don't even use a rod like these. I've got like a commercial one with a
Yep.
carbon fibre.
Linger Pittman, yep.
We end up using like 7 kilos because we're
Yeah, that's fine.
1.2 mils on Nemo.
Yep. So you're using the heavy stuff like I talked about before. Yeah, like,
So it's a spool. It's a,
yeah.
It's a winch.
Yeah, it's commercial. It's like I think they call it Linger Pittman,
There you
don't
go.
Beltronic or
Yeah,
something
Beltronic,
like that.
maybe.
Yeah.
Beltronic as well,
That's
yeah.
not Beltronic, that's
No.
the guy up the Sunshine Coast, mate.
Okay. Yeah, so look, that's fine. And it's all, as I said, that thing there will easily handle 8 kilos of lead without even thinking about it. Would you know it's on there? So if you've got an outfit that can handle the bigger lead, then I'd say just do it because the fish don't care. And when I see the commercial guys doing it, they're running like 10 kilos of lead. They're running like this big long sachet bar thing, you know, big one.
We've got 3, probably, Rio, mate, the big.
Yeah,
Rio,
yeah, quite long, yeah. And so,
When it goes, it goes.
yeah, it goes down, yeah. So one thing you have to be really careful of, guys, if you're going to use big sinkers, like even that size, even 3 kilos, that size there, you have to deploy your line with safety. So you never throw the sinker out first. You always throw your hooks in the water first and your baits. Yeah, that's right. Let the current take it a little bit. Grab your sinker. You need to actually put your hand on the reel in free spool, otherwise it'll just go, it's got a big tangle and it'll be like a nightmare. And then if you want, you can try and throw your sinker away if you've got your mate's line in the area, but I just subtly just drop it in the water near it because you don't want that sort of ripping out in effect. And then just let it go down. If you want to, some guys actually will back the drag, also there's a bit of tension on it, and then throw the sinker out. And it still runs, but it doesn't run fast. There's no backlash, and then they'll put the hand on the spool and then put it back in free spool and let it go from there. These do have the, I don't know about the divers, my old Tenacon didn't, but the Shimano's have like an overrun, a too fast to run braking system on it. You'll hear it cut in. It cuts in and slows it down so it doesn't get too tangled.
So you can't just free spool it and just let it go. You have to
Even with a big single like that, yeah, just a million miles an hour, but it seems to, you hear it rev up a bit and then it drops off again. I don't know how it knows, but it knows, yeah.
So what's the biggest lead you can run on something like a Force Master?
Oh, 4 kilos? That one? Well, that's only 5, yeah. That's about it. Rod's going to be like that though. And you can use the electrics for downriggers too, guys, in mackerel trolling baits and stuff. So we have a teaser bar downstairs. I don't know if you've seen those yet. They only come out last year. It's a full alloy stainless thing, about this long with a pulley on the end, and it has a winch fitting on it. So you actually put the electric on top of it, and then run your line out with your clip and your clip snap, sorry, and your weight on it. And then you just clip your line into it, drop it down, and just use it like an electric downrigger, but it's actually a reel on this post pole setup. Quite good. So you can use the electric as a downrigger in season. You can't use it on a rod because we're using 10 pound weight, so using a 5 kilo ball lead thing. it's just too heavy for most of these rods, and it's too uncontrollable. Yeah, so you need to either cut a rod off at the first guide and drop it over through that, or do this pole system. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
What are you filming on that? Your mackerel?
What am I Oh, that one I'm running like live slimies or gar. Bait though, you're not lures. Yeah, bait. Yeah, definitely slow trolling. Yeah. Another seminar that one. Okay, that's really good. Thanks, Stewie. Okay, we're going to do the draw now. Okay, I don't know if this is how many people here? Who's the last seat at the back? There's a number 18? 18, cool. Give me one sec, folks. So